What happens when you get one island, 10 college freshmen, and 20 hot grandmas over 70 letting their silver hair down and taking out their dentures for no-holds-barred hotness? Get your artificial hips ready as each freshman finds out what an experienced lady can do with a bit of Bengay and a trick hip. The mimosas are flowing and the moo-moos are dropping on Gilf Island, and we finally get to see which grandma makes the best cookies. Tune in and find out what happens after 7 o'clock and the night lights turn on. Brought to you by Max Lube Personal Lubricant, made from genuine repurposed U.S. Space Shuttle landing gear lubricant. Manscraper. Do you have too much cushion in your push? Do you suffer from too much traction and action while you're thrashing and bashing at the late night smashing? Try Manscraper. Manscraper is for the manly man. Sure, you can get little kid trimmers from the competitors as they daintily dance around your third arm and muckles. Manscaped is for a different beast. It's for dudes from another brood who didn't politely need to clip but need to hedge trim like they leg-choked Wilt Chamberlain in the glory years. Using our patent-pending 15-horsepower chipper shredder with advanced gonad alert technology, we can promise you the best shave you're ever going to get. And with Manscaped 2.0, there's approximately 12% less chance of injury. For only $499.99, you can get the Manscraper. 4 plastic bags for collecting your work and a 6-ounce container of aloe vera. If you order now, we'll also throw in the Demansculator. If you have nose thunder, down under, or just need a good washing, just hang our 4.2-pound Demansculator from your junk. Why shower when you can power through the hour, smelling like a tower of flowers? The Demansculator gives your wrinkled boys the washing of a lifetime, certified to pass any antibacterial test for 6 months after use. Current research shows no impact on fertility. And last but not least, if you order now, we're going to throw in a little Gorilla Glue, because once you're done, you can make a beard out of all the leftovers. I mean, who doesn't want to dress up for Halloween, right? Why let all that good go to wasting? Manscaped, shaving your man grapes like you deserve. And if you join our Patreon now, you can join our photo collection group, where you can we can send in no, don't send me in nudes. Seriously, don't. No, I don't want to leave it because I'm sure somebody's going to be out there going, by the way.
There we go.
If they're not moving, they look fine. But the moment one of those fucking eight-legged centipede-looking pandas try to move, yes, they look like.
Why not just make the Half-Life 3 cupcake and sell it to everybody, right? Even if it leaves a terrible taste in your mouth, people will still have bought your cupcake. And the analogy breaks at some point, so bear with me, right?
And this one time, my mom bought me a shirt, and I was in high school, and I'd been powerlifting and then stopped. So I was like fucking 280 or something like that. And they were buying for 190-pound kid. So it was like a medium. And I put that on, and it was like a sausage roll with legs, man. And my mom would not stop demanding I put it on. And I'm like, put it on, put it on. Your grandma wants to see it. This might be her last year alive. And I'm like, well, you're not going to die and have the last memory in her life be of me squeezed into this thing like a toothpaste. He'd have dinosaurs delivering your What if all you heard was a scratching at your door, and it's like,
it has really small hands, so it can't really carry
and
stuff.
so it's like, it's got the box, but it's holding it like a like this. It's all, here's your pill.
You
But
might need to package that.
it'd be a
in
surprise
more
mechanic.
marketable format.
Occasionally, the box would open, and there wouldn't be a Tyrannosaurus in it. And other times, so what if there was $1 million in one canister? You drop a railroad car, soundproof, so you can't tell. You drop a railroad car, and there's either a rabid Tyrannosaurus, probably already rabid. So, but you get a Tyrannosaurus in one, maybe some guns on him, and then the other one's got $1 million. And you're like, everybody go there, and if you open the door, surprise, you get one or the What's up, everybody? This is Karak with ACG, and I'm here with, not Silver, but I'm here with Johnny, Reg, and Mike, our best friend, Mike Williams. This would be, what, third, fourth, fifth time you've been on, I think?
Third?
Is it only third? Is it only third? I've been assuming it was more than that for whatever reason. I don't know.
I think it's like third on yours, and then you also had me on when you were doing Duke.
Oh, that's what it was, yeah. And he's with Fanbyte Media now. He does coverage for video games there as well. We've got a bunch of stuff to cover today. We've got GTA. We've got, let's look at this. GTA, final thoughts on Dying Light 2, as well as these guys who are playing it right now. Horizon, some stuff. Infinite, the Forge and co-op have been delayed for Halo Infinite. We're going to talk about some purchase stuff, and I'll look through various game websites to see if there's any new news today. But as we start, we need to see Mike's cat. It's a tradition, one of the people says in the post. Oh, he'll show up. I think we've already seen him once.
Yeah, he's over. He's eating.
He's eating.
He'll come up probably over here.
I want to say thank you to Mike for showing up. We've definitely had a couple people come on in the last podcast. I think have all had visitors. It's been very nice to sort of get them in here. Silver, I'm assuming he just played a bunch of Dying Light and couldn't be bothered. He was like, I don't feel good. What he's
no,
really
he's
doing
like, I have to use color? No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. The moment I make him use color on his webcam, he's like, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. What games have you guys been playing that aren't Dying Light? How about that? Is there anything?
I have been playing Horizon Forbidden West, which I can't talk about. So, yeah, it's pretty much that. A little bit of Sifu, and just waiting for Elden Ring, y'all.
Yeah, waiting for Elden Ring. What about you, Reg? Anything other than Dying Light?
Only the shape-shifting detective on tablet.
Shape-shifting detective? What do you
the
transform
FMV
into?
game? The FMV game?
I have never
where you're a
heard of
detective
this.
and you can take over other people's looks and then interview people.
Oh, damn.
Oh.
It's not by the Contradiction guys or anything, is it?
I'm not sure which studio it is. Yeah.
Is it good?
It's
You
the
like it so far?
studio that does a lot of them, isn't it? Like they have a bunch of those.
Yeah, I was looking at the tablet store, what kind of FMV games were on there, so I picked that one up there, and I'm just playing it on the tablet now.
What about you, Johnny? Are you playing anything?
I've been playing some League of Legends and a little bit of Monster Hunter Rise, making time for Dying Light.
Got to add to that 5,000 hour League of Legends time.
Well, technically, it starts a new timer because that was Dota 2. So
that was Dota 2. You're right. Yeah. So they're all the same to me. You know how it is. I'm sure somebody right now is like, kill him.
Yeah. How dare you?
How dare he say that? He's out of here. Thank you guys for the super chats. I'll read them in a second. Thanks for everybody who showed up. I didn't put this on a bunch of different channels and a bunch of different social media. It'll go up in just a moment. I have an automatic timer that's supposedly supposed to send it out correctly. So we're going to talk about Dying Light here at the starting. No spoilers. I'll give my final, I guess, or close to final thoughts. But first, I want to hear what these guys have been discussing and what they have been enjoying about Dying Light, if anything. Reg has only got an hour in. He's currently the low man on the totem pole.
Yep.
So what we're going to do is go with him first just to see if he got any initial impressions.
All right. So initial impressions, not having looked into the game a whole bunch beforehand. I thought the graphics were kind of dated going in, but the parkour works pretty well and feels good from what I've played so far. And I'm having a kind of a hard time at some of the tutorials. Like I didn't manage to do the dodging one, for example.
Right.
I killed the zombie without managing to dodge one single time successfully. Yeah, but it's very early. Voice acting, I think, so far was fine. Let's put it at that. Story, I don't quite know. I have a little bit of a disconnect between him supposedly running around through the world where the zombies are all at, and then being basically out of stamina from a short ladder right at the beginning.
Yeah, he's got Deadpool baby hands. That dude's got the stamina of a grandmother, man. I've never seen a character oh, you're just like, come on. Oh, it's rough at the starting. Man, it's rough.
So those are the early impressions. Apart from stuff like harvesting honey, which is basically just patting down the beehive.
I've got this memorized. It's pat, 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 pat. I don't know why, but it bothers me because you walk up to everybody and you're like, patty cake, papers, man, what do you got? Okay, bye-bye. And you just run off.
Like,
it's so weird.
Sure. I'm sure it works exactly like that, and the bees are just chilling.
Yeah. Johnny, what about you? You've got some time in it.
Yeah, so well, I've only played like a couple hours, maybe 3 hours. And my early impressions, it runs very well on my system at least. and it looks incredible. I love the setting of the city. I don't know if I was telling you guys or someone else, but it reminds me of the I Am Legend movie from, do you know the Will Smith movie with that setting of the city with the overgrown vegetation and some of the color for that. So I love the setting. The momentum is pretty good with the parkour. However, there are times where it's kind of floaty. Like instead of connecting and grabbing to something, it's like you're floating for a second on top of something, and then you either fall off or something happens. But there are like weird times where you're supposed to they want you to like jump onto a small platform or something.
Yeah.
And instead of just landing on it, you kind of float a little bit and then like drift off it. So there are kind of weird things there. And I don't like the press Q to highlight
Keep talking.
stuff.
Sorry. Keep
Sure.
talking. Something happened outside. I'll be right back. Just
No
a
worries.
murder. Nothing big.
Yeah, this system where to see stuff you can interact with, you have to press a key and then the whole thing lights up, right? I'm not a fan of that, because what I would like is to look around and, be able to kind of pick out what is of interest. That's a bit more immersive to me and more interesting to explore. I remember in Last of Us Part 2, it was actually really enjoyable to go into these houses and scavenge, like, oh, what's there, Like paying a bit more attention to the scenery and everything. Whereas with the queue, you just like tap it and, the whole thing lights up and you can see through walls and all that. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that particular system. But those are really the only nitpicks I have so far. It looks pretty good. Even the faces, so at least the main people, I thought they looked pretty natural, pretty decent.
What about you, Mike?
It plays well. If you liked Dying Light 1, I think you'll like Dying Light 2. The story is bad. It's real bad. The motivations are all over the place. Like my man Aiden, like you knew this. The plot is Aiden is like a pilgrim in the world, which is essentially a stalker. You are one of those people that goes in between the settlements and survives out in the wild. Decides to go to this city to find his sister, who you quickly find out was just some girl he knew in an experiment for like
Don't
3
say too
months. Yeah, back in the day, and it's just like it's just not a great motivation. And Aiden's a nothing burger of a character,
Nothing
but
burger.
it plays so well. I think I enjoy just running around and killing zombies. And I had a big problem with the new night immunity system, even though I get why they added it, because Dying Light 1 veterans would just play at night only, because they were like, once you got really good at the game, the risk was real low. So the night immunity, I think, is there to sort of stop Dying Light veterans, at least early on. Once you get to the halfway point, it also becomes nothing you need to worry about. It's a good game. I enjoy playing it a lot. But I feel like they swung for the fences in terms of story, like, and choices and all that stuff, and then they didn't know where they wanted to take it. So I feel that side of the game is sort of a missed opportunity. Like, you can choose between survivors and peacekeepers and factions and stuff, and gameplay wise they matter, but it just doesn't feel like a good choice. The reasons for choosing each just don't feel great. Like, the survivors are just normal people. The peacekeepers are like cops and military, and there's never a moment where you're like, oh, well, the survivors are absolute dicks too. Like, there needed to be some balance there.
I might be the only one who has no real issues with the story. I treated it you know how for years, for centuries, the gypsies, you know, it was considered, you know, it was really racially motivated. There was a lot of like negativity towards gypsies. That's how I read him as a pilgrim in the same kind of way, because they do talk about him stealing stuff. The reason why I'm enjoying the story, or have enjoyed the story, this is my second time through, but enjoying it, is because they do some stuff that I haven't seen in a lot of other games. For example, if you go to an area you haven't been to in a long time, I did a walking the walk for this, and I was quite interested in how they did this. If you go to some areas where Aiden hasn't performed many actions, they don't know who you are. And they'll be like, Aaron, John, Aiden, something, and you're sitting there at the fire. But if you have done stuff, they'll be like, Aiden, man, you're a motherfucking hero. And I know that sounds odd that I'm pointing that small thing out, but it is the small things that equal, to me, something that matters. The choice between the peacekeepers and the survivors, this is another issue. You can tell there was a lot of rewriting, because in some articles they talk about Bazaarians was their name, the people who live in the bazaar. Then they're also called out, or you're called the pilgrim, but then they're also called the peacekeepers and the something else. There's 2 or 3 times where they were named differently, like survivors, I think. And I was like, okay, that you can definitely tell. But overall, I don't hate the story. I think I said generic Gene in my review. There's some sometimes when he says stuff, it's generic because there's about 50,000 lines of spoken dialogue, and a lot of it he doesn't know what's going on. So you can tell sometimes. But overall, the reason why I like the choice, and I'm telling anybody who listens, if you ever hear anybody say that it is just cosmetic changes to the district, they did not play the game, or they were smoking massive amounts of dope. Because not only are they actual changes to the district itself when you give items to whichever group, they fucking say what those items are on a bar. And I listened to 3 reviews where they were like, they are just cosmetic changes. They are not. However, if you're playing on easy, there is a very good chance that you could miss some of that because you just wouldn't be challenged. The game is not difficult. The game is not difficult.
Yeah, they actually put physical items in the district, depending on which side you go.
And the more you add, the more they add to that district. So it just, that really bothered me, because when you see those changes, you see them. You see the airbags, you see the chain rifle or the razor rifles, you see explosive vehicles, you see actual changes to the world. And I've heard people be like, it's just cosmetic. It's like, then you should never talk about a game again in your life, because that is in the game. It's not only in the game, you see them the moment you leave. In fact, I did a very major choice at the starting, and an entire base was empty and filled with zombies of that type.
Oh.
Yeah. So, yeah, see, I have a feeling I might be one of the only people who did that choice, because I did this choice. And when I was talking about it in the walking the walk, a couple people were like, I did the other. Yeah, and this thing happened on mine. I did a particular job. I fast travel this place. It's empty, except everybody's dressed like them and they're zombies. And I was like, that's awesome. That is an actual change. However, dude, there was no co-op. And I'm going to tell you, when a company says, and when they even go out to say that their game was one of the highest co-op played games that they've ever been able to track, it was like 35 to 40%, which is quite high. To have that not working, I just did not feel like I could give that a score. I wanted to, because I would have probably been like, if everything would have worked, you know, it probably would have been a buy. But at the time, the co-op wasn't working. What I'm hearing now is people are doing co-op. I did hear about some corrupted saves and some disconnects. A lot of disconnects. Only heard 3 people on my Discord say corrupted saves. So that's good. That's good. I would like corrupted saves to be 0. Obviously,
right.
Because that game only has 1 save.
Yeah, they said after day 1 that would be fixed.
Yeah. Well, I think corrupted saves are hard to track, guys. You know, if you're doing one thing and the other guy's doing something else, and you click on the wrong NPC, it takes a lot of testing to verify. So, but it doesn't seem like that's as big of an issue. I've seen a lot of people talk about disconnects, but overall, it's up and running. So it sounds like people are enjoying it. 4 times the number of players than Dying Light 1, right? Isn't that what I think the news this morning said, that they have 4 times the players. So
it's very high up currently, yeah.
That's very cool.
Quarter million people currently playing on Steam alone.
Good for them. Go ahead, Mike.
And Techland will support that forever. Like Dying Light 1 came out in like 2012.
And it had its last story this month.
Yeah, it had its last DLC like this month related. So I was just like, like they'll keep supporting it because it's just, for them, it's a long tail game. Like this is the studio's game.
Yep.
So like even the issues like co-op, it'll get there eventually, but disconnect, stuff like that, they'll fix it because this is the game that they're going to be on for a while.
Yep. And I think, personally, I believe that it's worth it. If you guys get a chance, check out the Walking the Walk. Anybody who's listening, I did one early because we had the game for so long, and so it was very easy to do a Walking the Walk while I was doing the review, and they have some really good world building in that game. Really good world building. Some stuff I was not expecting in the geometry and the architecture. One of the things I liked, when I was a kid, I used to say, imagine if you could go into every building. We all know we don't want that. That would be boring. But what they did in this is almost every building has one or two places to go. And the verticality is enormous in that game. When you like are taking your paraglider, you look over at a building, there's a secret room up here, there's a room here, there's a room here, and that's one building of hundreds. And you're just like, I get why they were talking about 500 hours. Even though it was a bad thing to say. They should never have said 500 hours.
Yeah, and the level design is far better. Like they've really learned from Dying Light 1.
They have.
It just feels like the parkour is mostly the same. They hold some stuff back until you unlock later.
Yeah.
You don't have to like run as like your normal speed now is what the old game's run was. Right. But the level design builds on top of that. So it feels much easier to get from the street to the rooftop.
Yeah.
Wherever you are.
I think one of the biggest things I took away from the game is that, they decided nighttime wasn't good enough in the prior game. And so what they did is they have the zombies move, and you can see them at nighttime crawling out of windows to get onto the street. You can see them crawling back in during the day. And if they don't, they burn to death. They have like this dual horizon. That's the only way I could describe it in my review, where you have the normal horizon, sun and setting and dawning, and you see that. But then they have this other like line of sight kind of thing where you're looking up at the rooftops, which is where humanity, in a lot of apocalyptic shows, they leave the city. Humans leave the city because that's a dangerous place. They go live in the rural areas, all that kind of stuff. But here, the outskirts is just on the ceiling. It's just the higher up. And I liked that. I liked that feeling because you could see. And one of my friends was like, dude, why is there parkour stuff everywhere? And I'm like, because zombies are slow. The exact way, if you didn't have a bike, the exact way to get to live would be to outmaneuver them. So in a weird way, having an air cushion bag that explodes, even though that'd break your fucking legs. The first time it went off, both your knees would shoot through your head. But it's there, makes sense in a game way. And dude, when you get good with the parkour, when you get wall running, tic-tac, all that, I had some moments in that game where I was like, I'm doing fucking awesome. Like where you're just like, da, 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 da. I felt like A-Team, a couple times. And that's what you want. That's what you want the gamer to feel, is that ability. I would agree with Johnny and Reg, though, that sometimes, or I think it was just Johnny, you grab onto something, and I watched their GDC. I don't know if you guys know this, but when you grab on and one arm is much closer to you, do you know what they do? They shrink the arm. That's it. No lie. So the developer on GDC was talking about this. When they grab like this arm here is super small. And he zoomed out and you see the person's body, and it's a baby arm and then the normal arm. And the reason why is because that allows for them, they skew the head on purpose where your momentum's going and then swivel back. So the entire time the body is moving exactly as it needs to get up. But from your point of view, it does a certain thing. Then they had to play for co-op. They were like, we don't want co-op players seeing this weird deformed body. But they realized co-op, a person can't see the other person's screen. So they then draw it correctly in co-op. Co-op, and it works. It's like, there's some ingenious little things there. Also, the AI, 10 times better. Dude, I led zombies into groups of guys. I talked about it in my review where I knocked a guy off the roof and thought I was just king tits. I was like, ha-ha! And then somebody kicked me off the roof. And I was like, oh no! And I went down there and we were hot potatoing the zombie between us. And like, I'd kick him, he'd hit him, I'd kick him back into the guy. And then finally, once he died, we both just sat there for a second. I ran towards him and he ran off. And I was like, that's awesome. He's like, I'm out of here. So it's zombie AI, of course. It's not going to be the greatest, but the human AI there is a step up. And their
Did the
weapon
parkour
hit,
combat ever come together for you?
It does, but it took. So you have the one move that allows you to run and flip through vertical.
Yeah.
That started the coolness. Like, I didn't like the jump over the enemies at all. The first thing you learn, I was like,
the vaulting,
the jump kick, I was like, not so much. But so you get that, and then you get the ability to like hammer people's heads, and there's a couple other things.
Yep.
And then once you get tic tacs and the ability to go like this, then you can run up a wall and leap off the wall and jump kick. And even though it's still a jump kick, I never felt connected to the enemy when I leapt over them. It doesn't feel right. When you leap over them, you're supposed to be like stepping and like sort of stepping on their shoulder, I guess. It just didn't feel right. But the grapple is awesome.
It so is.
Dude, if anybody gets that skill, it is hilarious. Aiden doesn't know how to fight, so he just, when the guy comes, he just grabs him and sort of like, it's like half hip toss, half just get the fuck away from me. And he just goes like, woo! And the people do this cool stutter where they're like all stunned. And if you turn quick, you can get them in the back like 2 or 3 times before they can get to attack you. It felt good. That felt really good. So, graphics, I don't know about you, Mike. I thought it, especially when it rains. By the way, I do want to point this out. There is rain. I show it in my Walk in the Walk. A lot of people haven't seen rain after 4 days of playing the game. There is rain. I thought it looked good. Reg was saying it looked a step behind maybe from some of the premier titles. Would you agree that it looks a step behind? And where would you think that it does?
I thought it looked good. I think what they in sort of step behind, maybe like fidelity, like they rely a lot on art direction, like color and all that
color
stuff
theory
is on
nailed.
point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the fidelity that they have is that fidelity so that they can be up close on something, like you can be inside of a building and see it, but also that moment where you get on top of a building and look down on the street and you can see everything.
Yeah.
One thing I will say is once you dial in your specs, I found this to be real stable. Like once I figured out the specs to get where I wanted to like go in terms of frame rate, it was stable. Like didn't really matter what happened in the game. It was mostly rock solid for me once I got, turn ray tracing on, turn ray tracing off. We didn't get DLSS until like the day.
Yeah, the day
prior
of.
To launch.
I had to wait for the DLSS to do my, because I broke down FPS on mine. I would agree with you. I also had no crashes. 0. Ever.
Yeah.
Which blows me away.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I had some fall through the floor. There's a quest where I was picking a lock, and the character stands up and goes, "This isn't the right level of the building," or something, because it was a quest. And I just fell through the floor, and I was like, "Whoa, that's weird." Like, I haven't seen that before. I wasn't moving anywhere. It's just like this was the wrong lock to pick for the quest.
Yeah.
So I fell through the floor a couple times.
And you'll get the normal open world bugs,
jank, spawning inside
physics, and a guy walks and then all of a sudden he's up here, like whatever. That's open world stuff. It happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't think I had any crashes.
Man, I don't want to say this, but I'm gonna say it just because. But you don't want to say, well, thank God it's Techland, so they're going to fix it, because that's not the way we want games to come out. And I certainly don't like doing a review where I can't say this is the exact score. That's sort of what I'm known for. But I will say that now that we've got it sort of set up, we're seeing people play it, I'll just say it's probably in the best hands it could be, other than maybe the Kingdom Come Deliverance guys who did DLC for that game that was entire other games. I mean, the DLC for Kingdom Come Deliverance is insane. So those devs, there's particular devs that I trust to continue, and these guys are.
And that's the thing. Like, the trust allows you to get away. Like Ubisoft has problems.
Yeah.
But when you buy an Ubisoft game, they're going to at least support it for, year and a half.
Yeah.
Like, even the games that aren't good, they'll support for like a year.
Yep. I don't know. They've supported Crew 2 for many years, and that game sucks. What's going on with Crew 2? Who's playing that?
Well, except for Hyper, what was that Battle Royale?
Hyperscape was like
Hyperscape.
2 years.
Hyperscape was
Hyperscape?
2 years. If
that
that's
got scrapped.
yeah, but Crew 2, dude. Crew 2 was like when we started. I feel like Reg and I joked about Crew 2 at the very first podcast. It wasn't that long ago, but it feels that way.
It was long ago.
Yeah.
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 Like Breakpoint was struggling. They're still
Well,
doing
look at what
stuff.
they did, Mike. They did the DLC for friggin' Odyssey. Odyssey and
Right.
Valhalla. If you were
For all
just
of us.
yeah. Honestly, we all know what that is. That's their hinting what Infinite will be. I mean, obviously, I think that's a hint towards how they're going to support all their games. But no, it
But
is.
you can trade.
is
You can
funny.
trade on trust as a developer
You can,
or a
yeah.
publisher. Like, hey, we know that you will do X amount of thing. Like with Nintendo,
Yeah.
if Nintendo puts out a game and it doesn't work, my trust and ongoing support isn't entirely there because Nintendo doesn't always
Right.
do that.
No, they don't
Ubisoft,
touch
yes.
a lot.
But Nintendo, when they put out a game, usually it'll work. Like that's like because they know they're going to put it out and it's done.
Yeah, I just don't like this. I'm sorry. I just have to say this dynamic where
Yeah.
it's kind of okay to send out a game to review with just a single player, especially when the game is, according to them, designed around co-op. And we've had so many of these, right? Outriders,
Yeah.
where the co-op doesn't work during the review. So then you guys are in the impossible position of having to talk about the game without knowing a whole aspect of it.
Right. And part of the problem there is then what happens is you go back like another 2 years, 3 years out. Days Gone is a good example.
Uh-huh.
Like the reviews for Days Gone were partially based on the state of Days Gone when it came out. And
Yeah.
they improved it. They
Much
made
improved.
it like more technically sound. But now what you have is people being like, well, what was the problem here? Well, I mean, that wasn't how it played at launch. It wasn't that stable at launch.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
that problem continues.
That's one place where I do like doing video because I capture all the bugs so that
Yeah.
like I can be like, dude, this like when there's no world that you're driving the motorbike across, I can be like, here's the no world section. And then if somebody comes at me later, I'll be like, go check the video because there's the proof. But I mean, Days Gone isn't even the same game. And people don't get it. So like when you're reviewing for games, it depends on how your state is for bugs. Are you okay with bugs or you're not? I'm not. You pay $60. If I bought a car and the brakes randomly didn't work 1% of the time, it wouldn't be an acceptable car. I just don't think a $60 product should come out with game crashes. That's one of the big ones, especially on console. Console is huge. If a console game crashes while I'm reviewing it, that's, to me, is when I'm DMing the person in the middle of the night saying, do you guys know this crashes? Because that's insanity to me versus a PC, which may have driver issues and all that. But this embargo was just screwed. It was just messed up. It had different embargoes for different people. And then, well, it really didn't. It's just that no one could understand what was going on. So then a lot of people released their stuff early. I was told I could do impressions. I did impressions, then was told I couldn't. That kind of stuff happens. I don't think that was connected to the state of the game, though. That's just sometimes shit goes wrong in the PR side. That was a completely different thing than the state of the game. I don't think they were trying. I saw people saying, is it cyberpunked? And I don't know if I was pushing my limits, but I was on Twitter going, it's not cyberpunk. It's not even in the same world as cyberpunk. It's a completely different situation.
And I think Halo Infinite, which you mentioned before, and Dying Light 2's problem, probably the online, that both of those have online issues.
Yeah.
Co-op multiplayers, maybe that has something to do with it. You know, pandemics, all this other stuff. FF14 had the same problem launching new servers. They were like, yeah, we just can't actually we can't send a guy to put in the server or whatever, like to physically look at it.
Right.
So it's delayed. So I wonder how much of that is. Like some developers have rolled with these punches more than others.
That is for sure. And some have, got their roadmaps adjusted and fixed it. I think CD Projekt Red, I felt for whoever that guy was, probably the president, whatever. But he came on and did a YouTube video or whatever, like a week later, maybe half a week after the reviews, and he looked like he had been just beat up. I mean, it was obvious he was not excited about the situation. And they're trying their best. We haven't seen a lot of adjustment, but Dying Light isn't even in the same ballpark. No. It's got some issues with co-op. And so people were wondering why I did a review at all. Well, because I did want to tell people about the game. The game was going to be for sale. And at some point, you're just like, you know, you have to say something. So that's why I gave everybody my opinion of the game. Will I do another video? No. Other people can fluff their numbers. I'm not going to fluff my numbers with that shit. I'll change it in the title or something. That kind of stuff bothers me. It also bothered me, though, that I saw people saying, like, 10 out of 10. And I was like, dude, the co-op doesn't work. How can it be 10 out of 10 if one of the major modes doesn't work? But that's just me being a bitch. I just don't like that kind of stuff. I think that overall these guys they're gonna fix that issue.
Yep.
And you'll have, at the end, a game that you can experience the way you should, which means the story will flow in a way that they planned. You'll be able to decide, do you like that story, do you not? Does it play as well in co-op with the story, or, you know, how does that all work? I'm excited to see their future, because those guys, they do, man. As Mike said, they support their shit. Like, that's the best part of how this happened, was they support their stuff, and I think people don't really need to worry too much. But hold off. If you're going to play just co-op, give it a couple days. Christ, people are like, I got to play tonight. It's like, well, if you're going to get it and just be mad, maybe don't. Maybe wait a day just to see, you know, what's going to actually happen. Right. Lastly, I want to talk about, so we've talked about the NPCs, the life, all that. I want to talk about the weapons in this game. Here's why I talked about this in the Walking the Walk. It sounds so dumb, but I'm a cheap date when it comes to fiction. So there's a quest in the game where you hear about the history of why there's no guns. Mike, did you see this quest yet? Did you get this quest?
The military, the monument.
Yeah. That sold me. I know it sounds bad, but that sold me. It sold me on there being no guns. It's a stupid small thing. It was a stupid small quest, but I liked their little story. Things still didn't work out, even though some stuff happened, and, you know, the military got involved with the guns, and, you know, I actually liked that mission. And I was thinking about this a couple days ago. I was like, there wasn't really a mission in the game I disliked. I also liked that there were a number of missions that are not physically fixed. It's just narrative, which I was quite surprised by. There's a couple quests I'm like, oh God, I'm going to go get turnips for this dude. Like, I know he's going to ask me to go collect pumpkins, or, you know, some collect quest. And instead they're just like, could you settle an argument? And you're like, okay. And you settle the argument and you move on. I was quite happy with that. Would you say you enjoyed the quests, Mike? Or are you more on the line of the quests are sort of like the story and nothing grabbed you?
I mean, I like some of the ideas. The presentation's a little fuzzier.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of character models, which can be hit or miss.
And when they hit, they hit well. When they miss, they miss horribly.
And voice acting, which you can tell some people are
not voice actors,
are either not voice actors or European voice actors trying to do English, which is weird because the game takes place, they don't say exactly where, but Villador sounds like they talk about Paris. So the assumption is that it's somewhere in Europe, yet they still try to do like American accents. So I like, maybe like in terms of voice casting, again, that's probably maybe a pandemic thing, or like who they chose to cast their voice and direct all of their voice acting. That's fine. It's just a weird choice. I would have just gone with like if you're in Europe, France, something, just go with like, you know, French voice actors and stuff. Which like your one dude is, and I didn't realize this, the first guy that you meet is apparently one of the big parkour guys. Yeah.
It's Bull something, right? Isn't it?
Yeah. Is apparently like one of the big parkour guys, like just original parkour. And I was like, oh wow, I totally didn't notice that, because he
doesn't look like him. I don't think.
when he did movies, like he didn't have the beard.
Yeah.
And now I saw a picture and he's got the beard, and I was like, oh, okay, the model isn't exactly right, but close enough. Yeah, it's hit or miss. I like some of the stories. Like one of the ones is you're doing a chase thing. a race against a guy, and the twist to that race that comes at the end of the quest is interesting. I was like, oh, okay, that's fun.
Yeah, there was a lot of different stuff I really like. Harakashian, $10 super chat. Thank you very much. Awesome sticker, by the way, too. I can't believe I actually sort of like stickers.
I do think that one mission, like that said to me, I was like, okay, either late in the game we're going to come across that
same situation
where all that stuff ended up.
Oh,
or that's going to be DLC.
Probably DLC.
Yeah.
Because I didn't run into it for the rest. I think when like I'm playing this game and I'm doing the quests, you know, I'm so accustomed like Skyrim with shit quests. I mean, there's only been a couple games with good quests. Witcher 3 has good quests. Stalker, or not Stalker, but Exodus. Thank you. The Exodus game had good quests or somewhat good quests. A lot of times you just don't get great quests in these games. So I think I was rating it towards them or towards Skyrim more. And for that, I think it's much better. But I guess if we rate it towards, you know, any of the really good ones, yeah, it's probably mediocre. I don't know, man. Some of them grabbed me. I don't know why.
It's like Valhalla. Some of them are really good. Some of them are complete misses.
It's a good comparison.
And there's so many in there that it's just like...
Yeah, that is true. There's a lot. You can get a lot. And a lot of events, man. You'll be like running around and be like, event, and, you know, trying to save people or not, depending. I don't know how everybody else played. I played it very organically. I basically played it as if I was trying to get to a particular thing and do that particular thing. And so some of my choices were pretty evil. That's for sure. Moving on from there, let's talk about GTA 6. So Rockstar stated what everybody already knew, which is that they're working on the game. But I was telling Mike prior to the podcast, at least they said it's been in development for a while. So what I wanted to get your guys' idea on is, when do you think this will come? What year do you guys think this is heading to us?
24.
24. That is optimistic from Reg.
Yeah.
Really? 24? Oh, God, I hope so.
I'm feeling like it's going to be like 5 was and come at the end of the generation.
Wow.
Right.
Holy crap.
Right. 24. I was honestly, I thought everybody was going to hit 26. I really did.
No, I'm going to be optimistic for this one.
All right. End of 24, or you know how they don't care about time frame?
No,
okay.
Not beginning.
Not beginning. So end of 24. All right, Mike, what do you think?
I'm going to say 25.
25. All right. Johnny?
No, I think it... Now this is like Price is Right. I'm just going to say one up, right?
True,
and
yeah.
26, because I just think they take their sweet time making those games, right? For good reasons. So even if they have been at it for a while, my feeling would be at least... Yeah, something like 4 more years.
Some of these are awesome. 2077, of course. We knew that joke was coming.
Right.
2069, 3033. Like, so here's the thing, guys. I'm solid at 26. I really don't feel... and I would love to be wrong, man. I would kill to be wrong. But they've got it. One of the things they said was satire in the current today's day and time is impossible to do. They were like, it's so hard because you've got craziness in real life. So what do? I don't know where it's going to be. I don't think we even have a hint of where it's going to, occur. Like what, sort of, is it going to be Japan? Is it going to, that kind of thing? Yeah, the setting. 26, man. And I feel like we're going to be, my beard will be longer. Like we'll all be sitting here again and it'll be 26 and we'll be like, they delayed it again. Yeah, I hope
to 28.
To 28, right? And what Reg said, if it's at the end of the tech, I felt the 360's version was awesome. I played the living crap out of that game with my friends. When you still had personal lobbies, when you're still able to do your own shit before they removed it all so that they could sell you Rockstar bucks.
And that's what's going to change. There's no way that GTA Online's rise across this and last generation is not going to factor into how 6 is made.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, for sure.
NFTs? Cross my fingers, we get a bunch. I'm just joking. Nobody clip that.
Yeah, I don't know, but the move away from satire I think is good because Red Dead 2, I really enjoyed. Like the storytelling in Red Dead 2 is just amazing. And while playing it, I was just like, man, these are the same guys that did GTA 5, which I liked. I loved playing GTA 5, but like, man, this story just hits. Like, and it hits hard. And so I was like, if you could bring that, and I feel like when they were doing 4, they were trying to hit that, and they didn't quite get there with Nico.
Yeah, he was too dry. He was too dire. I got depressed playing 4, and I don't get affected by games. I just don't. Like, I can play a game that's about sad stuff, and I can play a game that's about fun stuff, and I'm meh. But 4, Nico, it was just like no matter what, it was a really dire story, and so.
And I swear, if
5.
they ask me to go bowling one more time, fucking hell.
Yeah. So Santiago said GTA 6 would be a nice change if they did 50s and 60s era with modern day gameplay. I agree. If they did LA Noire, I would be much happier than GTA 6. I just want to say that. I would.
I think they're going to stick modern.
But I think they'll stick modern, yeah. I think I do hope they do a LA Noire completely unconnected to this discussion. I would kill for that. Also, I would kill if you guys who are watching went to Twitter, wherever your favorite place is to talk about games, and tell everybody that we're doing a podcast. I would appreciate that. I need to start pimping this stuff more, so you guys will notice that. I'm going to sell out real quick. I've got a new sponsor. I'm just joking. Don't have any sponsors. But seriously, if you can go out there and tell people we're doing a podcast, I appreciate it. I need to get a sponsor that's completely unconnected, like
Audible?
Like Titan body condoms or something. No, Audible's boring.
It's good.
Tim Rogers was talking about that too in his last video.
The Titan
I need
condoms,
a sponsor that's like if he was talking about game chairs and not gaming chairs, just like regular office chairs.
Yeah.
He's like, if one of those office chair people want to sponsor me, that's like, I'm ready for that.
Exactly. Like Lehman and Lehman's office chairs. Instead of, just come up with the most generic business name ever. Whoa. Sorry, we got some super chats here. I'll get to them real quick here. So GTA 6 announced. I don't think there's much more to talk about. I think we all hope that the modernization of the combat and all that is, it's picked up even more than 5 was. I think 5 was pretty easy to control. But there's still some switches, and I don't want to see anything from Trilogy. That was a disaster. So it'd be really nice if they stepped it up with some good control. So reading these super chats just for a second. Thank you, everybody, for the super chats. You rock. Somebody asked, do we have sponsors? No, we don't. Blue is not a warm color. $20 super chat. Thank you very much. You just shat on blue. It's like one of my favorite colors. And the next super chat's in blue. Fuma Chababalala. 14... Hey, CG, my second game review is online. I enjoyed it. My second game review is online. I don't know what that means.
Probably
you did one?
They did one. And
did you do one for Dying Light? Chop off if you did one for Dying Light. That's very cool. I'll send people there. Moving on from GTA, unless anybody...
One last thing.
Yeah.
What if their plan is new city, for GTA 6, same timeline, and then in the online mode, they're connected. You can travel between the cities, and
you mean GTA 5 and GTA 6?
That's what I meant. Sorry.
That is thinking that there will be an actual offline mode to the game.
Well,
you're being even more cynical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
I think they're going to tear it down and
oh man,
from the ground
come
up.
on.
So they can resell all the, and that's why I also think it's going to be modern, because they want to be able to, in an online, sell you anything.
Of course.
And if you
that's
set
also
it in the 60s,
problem they have with Red Dead. Yeah, online.
If you set it in the 60s or something, you can't sell a supersonic jet.
That's true.
Yep.
Man, you guys are making me depressed about this.
I mean,
GTA Online makes so much money.
We saw it with GTA Online. We see it with Red Dead. Red Dead Online just isn't even being updated. Go Burns does a bunch of videos on it. And he's like, dude, it's just they've left things completely to rot. They're
doing nothing with
it. They
it.
could have done some cool stuff. They've done nothing because they saw the big return. It's almost like a person who does a video. If it doesn't do really great and your other videos have, you just look at that one as
you do the other shit, right?
And you do another video that is more like the old video. I mean, that is how it works. If that is how it works. I mean, there's really no two ways
how
around
it works.
it.
Yeah, that's how it works at outlets too. Like the
Yeah.
stuff that gets covered is the stuff that people read. That's
Yeah. Yeah. So if you want to know who's banging Ariana Grande, then, you know, a lot of people are going to be talking about it. They're not going to be talking about who Karak's banging. Nobody gives a shit. Let's see. What's this? Reading some of these. I want Dead Island 2. So do I. I want Dead Island 2 more than Dying Light. Trust me. If they make a Dead Island 2, I'll be all over it. Let's see. I've been replaying GTA 4 over the years, and it's a good story. Feels like more of a personal experience. For sure. One protagonist, right? Versus 3. I mean, I think that was the biggest issue. I liked I liked the 3 in GTA 5, but I mean, it's always
I like
easier.
the contrast.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, Nico just maybe in the emoting or the writing or something. Like Arthur is such a great protagonist.
Yeah.
You liked him, huh?
Yeah, like Arthur feels complex, and you feel his motivation like that. Whether you play like good or evil, you know. Whereas Nico, the connection, at least for me, like I got the idea, but the connection wasn't quite there.
Yeah. $5 super chat. Paulie D. $10. Sorry. GTA 6 needs to be bigger and better. That's what's come before, but I would love for them to make sure the size counts, not just that places exist. 3 protagonists was 1 too many. I would like 2 maximum. I could do with 2, like dueling protagonists. It would be sort of cool if one was a cop and one was a robber or
maybe
criminal,
they're
you know?
they're rivals or something.
Exactly.
Right? Like
something like that would be very cool, you know, but you're stuck in, you can't switch between them. Like you're stuck in this guy's, then you go to that guy's, then you go back. That would be interesting. Blue is not a warm color with another $5 super chat. I have to say this, LOL. Rockstar can't reconcile their unmatched worlds with restrictive level design. I think it means restrictive mission design.
Yes.
And that is definitely something people talk about. I personally don't care, but I do know a lot of people bitch that there's these big open worlds and sometimes you get in a mission and it's pretty linear. It's like, yeah, if you go out, it'll be like, you are leaving the mission area. Those kind of things.
Right.
That actually already happened like with the first hour of Dying Light 2 for me. I was going to the right on an area and it's like, you're leaving the mission area. 5 seconds countdown.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What mission makes you go? It must be one of the main story
The one where you
missions.
go to the communication tower.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, you fucked off completely? You're like, I'm gonna hang
No,
out.
I wanted to go to the right and then the game, no, you have to go to the left.
Yeah,
Okay.
there are some tutorial ones. There's a few timed ones that you like, no, you gotta go.
Yeah. Fuma with another super chat, 14 ZAR. I don't know what that is in cash. 14 ZAR. It sounds like some kind of, what is that? What denomination is that? ZAR?
I think that's South African something.
Where are you from, Fumo? And he says, my review was for Forza Horizon 5. First one was Max Payne 1. Love riding. Congratulations, man. Keep doing it, for sure. Now's the time. People are stuck at home. I'm telling you right now, don't ask me if you should start. You're already on your hind foot if you do that. Just
And
start
people are
putting stuff out.
growing quick.
Yeah, it is. And just hyperbolize everything. Every video you do, make sure to say it's the worst ever. It sucks beyond sucking. It blows and sucks at the same time, thus breaking reality. Here's my game. Special week, $5 super chat. Karak, why do you think getting melee or melee, depending on where you're from, animations is so hard in Dying Light? I've been slashing some enemies and the weapons get stuck in the body part. That's supposed to happen, bro. That is actually one of the best parts, is that the weapon sticks on purpose. That's what gives you the force feedback. Just like Vermintide, we had Victor Magnuson on, who created Vermintide 1, 2, and is now working on Darktide, and he was talking about that as well. That is actually how. It'll look choppy to somebody who doesn't know what it's like to chop somebody. I mean, so in a way, I'm glad you don't know that a sword doesn't go through a human body as quickly or as easily as movies would have you believe. Paulie D, $10 super chat. How affected, negatively or positively, do you think GTA would be because of Hauser's absence? That is a really good question. And it's not just Hauser, right? Am I right, Mike? Didn't somebody else leave GTA? Didn't one of the brother? It's like the writer and the brother, right?
It's 2 Hausers. So I think GTA 5 was both of them. Red Dead, I think, was just one of them.
And didn't one of the main writers also leave a couple years ago?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Like after Red Dead.
How will it
So, I
affect
mean,
them? It will, in some way.
Yeah, it's going to be new blood. It's going to be a different type. And again, I think that the talk about satire, I think part of that is Red Dead 2 being like, oh, I think this, for them, I think they're like, oh wow, people really praised the story of this.
Right.
Like we can do both. We can get the awards and accolades for telling a great story, but also the boatloads of money for having the online.
I like how you have to add that. But also the boatloads of cash. But again, you got to make that online make sense. Like you said, it can't be Western online. It's got to be brand new. Leslie Bezos, thank you. Bezos. $5 super chat from Andy. Saw your most recent video describing the open world of Dying Light 2, and you got me hooked. Have you played since the day one patch? I did. I played a little bit today, but I didn't get to play online with anybody. In fact, this is the first game in a long time, Mike, where I felt that sort of sadness, where you're reviewing a game and you're playing it early and you know that you'll be like working on another game when everybody's playing it.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah. You sort of miss the conversation. Like,
yeah.
Like you can have it sort of after the fact, but you're not in it. You're not in it like where everyone
and
else
that
is.
excitement that everybody has when they come back and they tell a story about what they're doing day and date, and you're either working on something or maybe you don't want to spoil it, so you can't join in. Yeah, this is the first game in a long time where I actually felt that. I was like, damn. And I might not have felt that if co-op had been working, because I would have played with a couple friends, and maybe I wouldn't have had that feeling. But
right.
GTA 6, I think that's about it. Let's move on to the next topic. Oh, yeah. So Halo Infinite. This morning, Joseph Stratton? I might be getting his name wrong.
Joe Staten. Yeah.
Thank you. He announced that both Forge and co-op are delayed. If you follow this channel, you already know I said that was going to happen. I'm not saying like I told you so. I'm just saying that like I think this was expected, but I want to hear people in the chat. Was this expected? Are you waiting for co-op? And what about you guys? Are you guys waiting for co-op? Is it something you're like hoping for? Go for it, Mike.
Yes.
Yes.
I haven't had a chance to play Halo Infinite at all because I was playing other games.
Whoa, really? Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So, basically when it came out, I think I want to say, was I in the middle of 14's latest expansion? Something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I haven't played it, and so now I'm like, okay, I'll wait it out. I'll wait for to see exactly what's going to happen. Gotcha. In terms of launching Forge and launching co-op, and then I'll play it.
What about you, Reg? Are you waiting? Are you going to go back to Halo?
Probably not, no.
Probably not. And you enjoyed it, I think, right?
I was going to say I didn't even finish the campaign.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
At other games.
Yeah. What about you, Johnny?
I think that would be my preferred way of playing it, because I haven't had a chance to play it yet. To play that campaign with a buddy, I think would be just better in all aspects. So it does annoy me that it's delayed.
Yeah, I mean, Forge is delayed too, and Forge is a huge way Halo's kept going. That's a pretty big deal that Forge is delayed. Probably more so for, I would say, maybe the majority of Halo fans now, because a majority have either gotten into it, maybe played it early or putting it off, and there's other games. Those people who wait for Forge content, which is a lot and which is stellar many times, don't get that. And that's a total, it sucks. And by the way, guys, he didn't even say when. He said that it's a top priority. But this is the reason why I was telling people I'm not that surprised, because it was their top priority prior to it coming out. And when that game released without it, you knew that there must be a big issue. Otherwise, they would have figured out a way to get it in there. Yeah. So, name banned again, $50 super chat. Game Pass Ultimate Cloud is the bomb. Jumping into a bunch of games without having to install or update is awesome. Oh, streaming. I gotcha. Yeah, that is very cool, isn't it? The ability to just jump in there and play those games. And there was, were there good games? Are there good games this week, Reg? Do you think
are
the list you'll read? No, I'll read these super chats and then you can do the games.
Okay.
But do you think they're good or just like off the top of your head?
There are a couple in there. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
All right, Paulie D, another $10 super chat. The idea of a cop versus criminal, where you have a version of an honor meter and you're rewarded for being good as a cop and bad as a criminal is cool. Then turn it into a Heat-style ending. Dude, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Did any of you guys play Scarface on the Xbox? Original
No.
PS1 and Xbox? Scarface was like that, man. And then there was also Godfather 3. Did any of you guys play that one on Xbox? I like that one.
Yeah.
179 super chat. I don't know that symbol, so that could either be Bitcoin, which thanks for making me a
Sure.
millionaire, or it's pennies. Hey, pennies. Why don't you get a sponsor from mattresses or food? I probably could. I just haven't thought about it. Tristan Martin, $20 super chat. Happy Friday, everybody. I'm sorry if I'm jumping the gun, but I'm curious on you guys' opinion of the new gameplay and news on Ghostwire Tokyo. Are you guys excited? It left me scratching my head. Yeah, we can talk about that. So that was shown at the Sony thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I didn't
And
see
announced for end of March, I believe.
it. Did you see it? Did you see video of the game? What did you think?
I don't know what to make of it, quite honestly. I love the aesthetic, mixing the sort of like Oni, so like Japanese demon stuff from Neo with a futuristic, maybe cyberpunkish style. I'm in for it. I need to see like, more actual gameplay and get a better feel for what it would be like to play to say whether I'm going to get it or not. But definitely interesting.
Mike, did you get a chance to see this? Have you seen any?
I only saw it vaguely, and I'm like sort of interested in the game, but also this first quarter is so packed with other games.
Dude, yeah.
So I'm like, maybe I don't know, man. There's just like so many other games that are going to be coming out around the same time that I'm just like,
And if they don't have a real identity, it's hard to choose them over the ones that do.
right. Like even like off the top of my head, I think Alex 2 is coming out then. Probably Shadow Warrior 3 was just announced for that time. Is the new Final Fantasy Origins game coming out March?
Oh,
Or is
I don't
that
know.
live?
Because if so, that's going to be a heavy March.
Yeah, there's just like I'm sure if I went and looked, there's like a couple of games that are coming out already in March. It's just it feels like we're in a pretty heavy period of release, and Ghostwire has just sort of been forgotten, I guess. I think Babylon's Fall is also coming out in March, and that's also another forgotten game. Like just kind of like it's there. Let's get it out the door.
It's also a weird name, not bad, but it nothing is sort of the name for like it's because it's what Fallen Babylon or Forgotten Babylon.
Babylon's Fall.
Babylon's Fall. See, it doesn't really mean anything. It's not bad like Gears of Grey warrening and those kind of just absolute shadow of tears of villainy, but it doesn't really mean anything to me right now. I need to see more of that one. A lot of these games remind me of Deathloop. I felt the same way with Deathloop until maybe the week or 2 weeks prior. I just couldn't figure out what Deathloop was. I was like, what is this game? Whatever they're showing me, it doesn't feel like that's what the game is actually going to be. And then I think about 2 weeks prior, we started to get some good trailers. What about you, Reg? Any of those games? You're going to get Fallen Babylon, right? Or Babylon Fallen, whatever the fuck it is. You're going to get that one, right?
I don't even have any images in my mind what that game was.
There you go. That's the way it is. So Ghostwire Tokyo, sorry we couldn't have more data for you. It just doesn't look like a lot of us followed that one yet. I don't want to butcher your name. Your last name, Pothakamuri? Tell me how close I am. He asks, 179 Super Chat, a smuggling game set in Mass Effect. Yes, I'm all for it. All for it. Michael Hogan, unfortunately, now is paralyzed, but I'm sure he could do voiceover. I still want a Michael Hogan running around the Citadel as a cop, as Bailey. Just pretend Mass Effect 3 didn't happen. I'd be fine with that. I think all the gamers would move forward. Pretend Andromeda never happened. I'm sure BioWare wishes they could do that. Mike, have you heard anything about Mass Effect 4 at all?
That's going to be way out there.
You think so?
like Dragon Age is probably still a couple of years away, and I'm pretty sure Dragon Age is farther along than Mass Effect.
Ouch.
So,
That's painful, man. It's painful for a lot of fans because both of the last games didn't nail it for either one of those.
Right.
Though, admittedly, I liked Inquisition more than Andromeda. But, man, seriously? So what are we talking? 2000, are you thinking Dragon Age is 25? 2025?
I think Dragon Age would probably be 24.
24, okay. And then what, 26 or 25 or 26 for Mass Effect?
Yeah. Just because the fidelity of what they have to work, like the worlds that they have to build, like Inquisition took forever too. So,
yeah, because you got to keep up with the current, competition too, right? You can't
right.
The competition has changed and they've stepped up.
Like you're making an RPG, but you also have to make the world so that it's as good as the single player games or something. Like a Horizon or Spider-Man or whatever. Like it has to look amazing as well. Whereas, and even the people bring up the rear, you got Larian, who has improved drastically from Divinity Original Sin to Baldur's Gate 3. Owlcat Games just did Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous.
Can you guys still hear me?
You did. Yeah, we can still hear you.
Okay. Continue.
Who did Pathfinder Kingmaker, which wasn't great, but then Wrath of the Righteous was such a big jump up. Like people are coming from behind on them. And so I think they need to really hit that. Obsidian's in that same spot. Obsidian has to make sure that Avowed hits real well and looks like a next gen game and all that.
And they need to change the name. We can all agree. Terrible name.
Avowed. Yeah.
Terrible name. It means nothing. It just call it blah. Call it blah blah blah.
They're gonna put a subtitle.
It's going to be a subtitle, like like Avowed, the Forgotten Son, or something. That hits. What were you saying, Reg? I interrupted you.
By the way, talking about Pathfinder, there's a story DLC coming in February next week, I think, or the week after.
Dude, Pathfinder is one of those games that the story DLC is probably 3 games length for anybody else. Like I'll play that on the side, but I ain't reviewing another one of those for like 5 years. I've got my fix of Pathfinder. I'm personally, I think that especially with Divinity Original Sin, Baldur's Gate 3, I'm a little upset with because of the early access. Because I just want to play it. I don't want this petered out early access for that one in particular. That's a little bit bothersome to me, but they got to do what they got to do. I've got to see that game.
You can do like Original Sin and Original Sin 2. Just don't play the early access, which is what I'm doing with Baldur's Gate 3.
That's what I started doing too. Yep.
The first early access release, and then I stopped. Like I was like, let's see what it's like, and then I'll not play it until it comes out.
Before we move on, we're gonna have Reg read the free games. Paulie did a super chat, $10 super chat. Do you think trophies and achievements were one of the biggest reasons for people sticking with games longer than they would have previously? A genius idea. Well, we know for sure some people have stated that, so the answer would be scientifically yes. I don't know what the percentage would be, but Mike, do you find yourself sticking to games longer to get an achievement or a trophy?
No.
Me neither.
No, not really.
Not a single damn time.
And I don't think a lot of always the general audience, the average consumer, really thinks about it either. Some people do, but no.
What about you, Reg? Have you ever wanted an achievement?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's so funny because it's so funny, dude, because some podcasts are based on achievements. That's all it's about. And you're just
trophy hunting.
To me, it's completely unfathomable that I would impact my game. I think developers' ideas have changed. Yes, I for sure think some developers have looked at a game and been like, "Whoa, we need to make sure we have some achievement stuff in there." But man,
like I definitely know people who are like platinum hits, like,
right,
who will be like, "Okay, and I have now platinumed this game, and that's fine. I just don't think that's like the average. I think that's like 10% of like.
Yeah. Or and then you get some people who are like getting Barbie because they know it's easy trophies. You'll hear, I mean, there's websites based around just like how easy a trophy is to get for this game. And I've seen people mad.
Like,
where they're
congratulations, you booted the game.
One of the guys was mad. He was like, the platinum trophy and 100% was requiring them to get 100% in the game. And it was, to them, it was audacious. They were like, how dare they make me get 100% for the platinum? And I'm like, dude, it's the top trophy. Why wouldn't it be?
It's called an achievement.
It's literally the number one thing. And you could tell people are, whatever's given to you free after a particular amount of time, you expect it. And people got some easy achievements, and some games don't do them easy. And I've heard people bitch. They'll just be
and you can also look at like some of the first achievements in a game and see how many people have actually finished those.
Yeah.
And you know that the like, and those are people like, usually it's just like, hey, beat a first level or get your first weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll look at it and it'll be like 45-50% of the people did that. Like, that's how many people just like, may play a game or may just do not care at all.
And you get those games where you switch from a hand weapon to like a gun, and it's like, congratulations, you got jazz hands as your achievement. And you're just like, dude, seriously? Like, what in the hell? That's not an achievement. Reg, free games. Let's do this.
Yes.
Free games and somewhat free games.
So free game first. It's one of the best ones on the list, I think, as well. It's Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair on the Epic Game Store, currently for free. And, well, the rest is onto subscription stuff. On Game Pass, we have Dreamscaper and Telling Lies. So talking about an FMV game. There's another one.
Okay.
And that's it for Game Pass. PlayStation Now, we have Death Squared, Grand Theft Auto Vice City Definitive Edition, Little Big Workshop, Through the Darkest of Times. Yeah, and Through the Darkest of Times. Full stop. PlayStation Plus, EA Sports UFC 4, and Planet Coaster Console Edition, as well as Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep, Wonderlands one-shot adventure. All right. On Twitch, so Prime Gaming, As Far as the Eye, Ashwalkers, A Survival Journey, Double Kick Heroes, Golaza Soccer League, and Stellaris. There's another good one. Stadia Pro, Cosmic Star, Heroine, Life is Strange Remastered Collection, Merrick's Market, Nanotale Typing Chronicles, One Hand Clapping, and Fogs. Xbox Games with Gold, Broken Sword 5, The Serpent's Curse, and Hydrophobia. Anything else? Yes. Game Pass for console. Yeah. So the first one was Game Pass PC, and this is Game Pass console. This has in addition Contrast. Yeah, and that's it. So Contrast is console only. And that's it.
Well, I mean, I like Broken Sword. I'm a big Broken Sword fan, so there's that. Was there any on there? Any of you guys are like?
Yooka-Laylee is pretty good, I think.
Yooka-Laylee for like JRPGs, Cosmic Star Heroine is pretty good. There's some stuff there.
Do you guys think they're holding back a little bit because it is February and it's just the games that are coming out? It makes no real sense to throw something on Game Pass with all these big titles coming. Or are we running out of titles to go on Game Pass?
Maybe. Yeah, it could just be that, there isn't anything.
Remastered is on one of those, which surprised me. Life is Strange Remastered, because that's brand new. I would have assumed that would have been up for sale. So
that was on Stadia Pro.
Oh, God. It's on Stadia?
On Stadia.
Which we got some sort of story today that Google
I saw that
it's pivoting
Stadia
to something else.
Dude, I don't even know where my Stadia is. I've got one somewhere, and it just dawned on me. I have no clue where it is. It's like packaged up. That thing's not getting played. Life is Strange, for people who haven't played that game, If you like my reviews, you mostly like the games I've played. Life is Strange is an older game. I'm telling you right now, it's well worth checking out. If you get a chance, check out Life is Strange. It'll make you want to be a 17-year-old girl. I'm telling you. It's awesome. You definitely want to check that game out. I think from what I've seen, the remastered looks much better. They adjusted facial stuff to make the characters' faces more emotive, which makes sense since the game is about emotions. And originally, they looked like a bunch of puppets made out of Play-Doh. So there is a big improvement there on the way they actually look as well. So if you guys get a chance, check that out. What's a Stadia? Kumar says.
Yeah, that is the correct question.
Jeremiah asks, is Johnny sick? Nope. I don't think so. He has been wiping his nose, though. Do you got a cold? Bit of COVID?
I just have a bit of COVID there.
Smidge of COVID?
No.
Got a smidge of COVID?
No. Just a little bit of runny nose and just like bad sleep and stuff like that for a couple
nights. My entire family
Nothing.
has COVID but me.
Ooh.
It's amazing. This is why being insular, hating other people, being completely, homebody. I'm just joking. But I have got away. I mean, I have got unscathed. My family
You're like the
now
resistance.
all have it.
You're being bombarded with that shit.
We have one of those guys that's like, I don't get anything. I'm not going to get a shot. He's got COVID right now in the hospital. It's like, good job, man. But I've been.
Yeah, I'm full boosted, but I also don't go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Play with your cat. That's it. It's like everybody else. And now with like Grubhub, I was telling these guys because everybody teases me. I order a lot of stuff on like deliveries, but I'm like, hey man, now I've got a pseudo excuse. I can be like, no. I would go out. I would go out.
Staying safe.
But I'm trying to do my part.
Right,
yeah, like the old Starship Troopers. Do your part. I'm doing it right now. Staying away from it.
I mean, stuff is wild. So I went out yesterday to get an eye exam because I need new glasses, prescription. And I got there and there was a guy in the thing, but the person doing the, A or B or, whatever was not there. The guy in the store was just there to connect the machine to the person doing that remotely.
Oh, interesting.
So like the lady doing the like 1 or 2, 1, read this line was on like a screen. And then when she disconnected, then he clicked another thing and then a doctor connected. So it was real weird for me. I was just like, okay, so you're just a guy.
Yeah.
That's just here to click connect.
And he's obviously not as important because he's there in person. The other people are at home. The doctor's like, I'll do this from my house on Zoom. But Johnny, he can go sit at Costco and he can check people's eyes. I don't know. Johnny was a generic name. I could have said Bill.
I mean, it's true because he was like young 20 something. Like he's just a dude. Like he just sat in the back of the room and clicked on a screen.
Hey, and got paid some wage for it, so I guess that's good. Let's see. Do we have anything else on that topic? I don't think we do. We can't talk about Horizon Zero Dawn. We're reviewing it. Let's talk about Bungie. Mike, were you surprised that Sony bought Bungie? What'd you think when this news popped?
I was surprised that Sony bought Bungie, but when they explained it afterwards, it made sense. So Sony has the first person narrative done in one game down. They have that market locked. But there's more money to be made in the live service side, and they don't have anything for that.
Right.
So basically they announced the Bungie acquisition, and then they were like, we're going to let them do whatever. And then after that, they were like, yeah, we're going to have like 10 live service like games after, because what they've realized is they have this section of the pie, but they also want this side.
Yeah.
And being able to do both if they can, without breaking their studios will probably be their, like, they're probably looking at Horizon being like, can we do not necessarily an addition to this, but something related to Horizon that's also multiplayer? And that's a side that they fell off of. Remember, like Uncharted used to have multiplayer. And then they just, and for a while that was a problem. And I think now Sony, that they've had the narrative side down, they're like, can we do both? can we figure out how to do both of these sides of things? Because this is what I call the narrative single player is what I call the prestige game. You need that because they're really good and people love them. But as a business, there's far more money in the live service side.
Right.
So,
Yeah, definitely the continuation of having that title live service for 5 years. What about you, Reg? Were you surprised?
Yeah, actually. I didn't expect Sony to buy anyone really. I was expecting them to do the kind of Japanese thing like Nintendo and like hunker down and just continue business as usual.
and Nintendo even said they were like,
they did exactly that. Yeah, the Nintendo did exactly that. It's like, no, buying people that don't share our DNA, nah. Yeah, so I was surprised about the acquisition. I'm not sure how it will go, especially with Bungie being the popular girl, I guess. We're switching companies a lot. Yeah. How many years they gotta stick with Sony until they try to free themselves yet again?
Oh no, you didn't. They're the girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, that is just high maintenance. They just really are. And I remember people blamed Microsoft, and then they went to Activision, and some of the people I talked to at different companies were like, It has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with the company purchasing them. Nothing at all. It's internal. It's just the way they are, which is fine. Some people are prickly and they're really good at making games. I will say this: the reason why I was surprised, it's going to sound weird, so bear with me. Destiny's doing very well, but Destiny's launches have been terrible. And they're a separation of the lore into a fucking website where they're like, oh, you want to read about the game? Go to a website and click on these cards. I wasn't seeing the value at first, but Mike's right, because then Sony came out and said, not only did we buy them, some of that money is going to keeping those people there.
Yep.
And that was 1 billion, wasn't it? It was a huge amount of money.
Yes, it was a bit over a
it
billion.
was like 1.8 or 1.6 just for
employee retention. Yeah. So to me, that indicates exactly what Mike said, that they're like, okay, we don't want you guys to leave, which has happened with other companies. You get to, and some people will still leave, but that is a good way to do it. Grab some cash and say, we do want you here. We do want to show you that we want you here. So that's a positive, I think. What about you, Johnny? Were you surprised? Do you care?
Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, I don't know a lot about Bungie. I've never been a Destiny
or Halo
buff,
because that's the only fan. Two that they're myth. But
and Halo I've played kind of on and off, right? And so, but it always, in my mind, I had the two, Microsoft and Bungie, as almost like a package deal.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, the Microsoft,
even though you mentioned they've
won't quit
moved around
the chick late at night.
Right.
I got you.
Yeah. But as you said, they have kind of moved around. So in hindsight, I was wrong about that perception. It's interesting. I think it makes sense for them to expand on the live service side, as Mike was saying there.
Yeah, I think probably Insomniac and will probably continue to do what it does. Naughty Dog will probably continue to do what it does. Sony Santa Monica. I wouldn't be surprised if, say, Bend Studio, Sony went to them and said, okay, what live service game ideas do you got? Like, whatever you got, we'll try that. And some of the other studios they've picked up, like maybe like Blue Point, says they're working on an original IP. I don't see them going fully multiplayer live service, but maybe something with a little bit more online hooks, like, Demon Souls with more multiplayer or something like that. So like people who are worried about hearing about the live service, maybe some of that you should be worried about, but I think the stuff that you love from PlayStation will remain the same, but they'll try to expand on this other side.
Yeah. Which is fine. That's the way they Microsoft obviously has, I mean, I've joked about this, but they have an attraction towards co-op for 3 or 4 player games. That's the third party games they get on their service. You can absolutely track everything from Back for Blood. Like, you just look at them and you're like, this is for sure coming to Xbox Game Pass. This is for sure. And Sony has been missing first person stuff. That's one thing. Their Killzone Resistance was the last big one, and that was at the launch of the PS4, right? I think that was Killzone Resistance. Wasn't that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So they really haven't nailed it. And I absolutely think that they're wanting to go with games as a service and first person. I think Microsoft with Halo did well. Despite that, like, Mike hasn't even got a chance to play it. Despite me, there were some issues I had. There's no co-op. It still isn't the disaster everybody thought it was going to be. In fact, it sold quite well, and Microsoft's got it on Game Pass, so it'll continue to do well in some way. And that's a service game as well. They've got their online separated, or their multiplayer separated. Shadowfall, thank you very much, Shadowfall. I appreciate it. So I agree with Mike. I think it'll be like side stuff. Remember, Sony also made their own version of Rocket League, which sucked. What was that game?
Yeah.
Reg?
I forgot the name.
Yeah,
I played
exactly.
it for like
The
a
free-to-play game.
Free-to-play game. But
Um,
Sony's been attempting stuff. It's just nobody paid attention because it's not called Spider-Man. And they will continue. That's what they should do. They should continue to peter away at these. They'll have some failures.
Like Twisted Metal. That's one of those games. It was rumored for Twisted Metal coming back. Twisted Metal is one of those games that you take and build as a live service.
Exactly. Destruction All-Stars, Andy says, is the game I was talking about.
That's it.
Yeah. They've also got Little Big Planet. And Little Big Planet, or not, is that the one? Sackboy?
Yeah, it is.
Little Big Planet has always tried to do stuff, and it's always been the cute. But if somebody figures out a live service style for that and figures out a way to get everything put together, that could do gangbusters as well. And it's already done well, technically.
I found it interesting that in the last title from that, they actually removed the level building and stuff.
Sackboy's Big Adventure. Yeah, it was just a straightforward platformer.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what will be interesting, guys, if we start to hear rumors that they had tried to do it and failed. Because if so, that would make even more sense of them hiring people who have online experience if they maybe had thought about it. Because I don't see Sony not doing that. I don't see them not wanting to do that. So most likely they wanted to, and it just couldn't come together. But yeah, Sony's doing Jim Ryan's a different kind of leader than what we've seen for Sony. And his ideas don't always gel. Backwards compatibility doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. It's like, probably wrong on that. A couple things have changed, but he, for the most part, seems to see stuff and realize that if they have a weakness, you got to shoot for it. And we're seeing them do things I didn't expect. I did not expect Bungie to sell again. I have nothing against Sony. I'm not even talking about Sony. I'm talking about Bungie. I thought Bungie would be so tired of dating, getting married, getting a quick divorce. The idea that those guys jumped into another thing is just shocking to me. Like,
yeah, when you look at the deal, it doesn't make sense for Sony. Like, because as far as they got, like, they're like, hey, you can do whatever you want. Like, we own you, but we're not going to mess with you at all. You can keep on multi-platform. It doesn't make sense outside of Sony being able to get that ongoing revenue stream in, and also being able to talk to those people and say, hey, can you help us on this end? Like which is the kind of thing that you see in an Ubisoft or an EA or Bethesda or seemingly Microsoft now, being able to go like, hey, you guys already know what you're doing here. Can you help us out? And Sony does that. Like, they're starting to be really, cross-pollination between, like Sucker Punch and Insomniac and Sony Santa Monica. Like, you can see them start to share those threads. And I think Sony is like, well, we need some of that. We need an online person.
Big Mac had some deets for us. Thank you, Big Mac. He says it was $3.4 billion for a studio that made $265 million last year. Which is why I think a lot of people think as it being overpaid. I think Forbes did an article even. I don't know if it was Gene's Washington Post. So that would have been Tassie, maybe. Somebody did an article on that Sony overpaid.
It probably was Paul. Paul Tassie is huge on Destiny.
Yeah, he's a Destiny freak, isn't he? So you get this big purchase. It wasn't, and we said this, purchases don't just magically happen. It's not a rebound punch. It's not any type of counter punch to Microsoft, at least for the Activision purchase. That's not the way the companies even are able to work. But Sony's probably got a long-term plan, and I would also think that long-term plan indicates best on PlayStation in some way. And so they said we're not going to be exclusive, and I believe them for right now because that's what they said. They were clearer than Microsoft has been. They were clear on that, but I don't think it's mutually exclusive or mutual. I don't think it's inclusive. I think that they can say we're going to be on everything, but that doesn't mean it won't have a title best on PlayStation.
Doesn't mean it has to be the same quality or the same content or the same.
We've seen stuff like Spider-Man being on Avengers.
True, that's true.
Right,
yeah, that's
that
true.
kind
I
of
hadn't
thing
thought
you
about
could
that.
see.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That Spider-Man is terrible in a terrible game. And sorry,
was he bad actually?
Spider-Man?
Yeah,
dude.
In Avengers, he was bad.
Dude.
Oh no.
Anyway, we're not even going to give Avengers any talk or Anthem.
No.
Yeah, I think overall it's actually it's a weird deal, but yeah, it does seem like Sony's incubating a couple things. It'd be very cool to see exactly what happens. Somebody else is saying Spider-Man on PC, please. I agree. If you believe the NVIDIA leak, a lot of Sony games are coming to play PC. So that's only good to me. I don't know. What do you think about that, Mike? I don't think I've ever asked you about that. What do you think about Sony's games coming out on PC? Do you see it as some grand strategy, or do you see it as them just realizing there's money there? Like
them just realizing there's money there. I mean, for them, it doesn't hurt them because these are games that are 1, 2, 3 years old. Like, why not? It's free money.
Mm-hmm.
If you're employing these guys at these studios to work on their next game, section off a bit of a team, port the game to PC, and bring the money in. Like, you're already paying the studio to exist. So
it's like another wave, right? The game resurges.
And you're not losing the PlayStation cachet because these are old games. We have the PlayStation market has moved on. And
so to continue that discussion, do you think they won't do day and date new games?
I don't think they'll do day and date on PC. I think they still believe in that console exclusive. Like, I think Jim Ryan does believe, like when he said, we believe in generations, I believe he did believe in them then. But there was more money to be made. And he's like, he looked at the numbers and we were like, okay, the PS5 is supply constrained. There's still money to be made in releasing these PS5 games for PS4.
Okay, so let me pick your brain. I personally believe it's pretty much politics and game console warring where people will not take new data and change. Like, those are the two eras in my life where, like, I look at these tiers of people talking and I'm like, this person's still talking about something that happened 15 years ago. The reason why I think Sony might do day and date, and bear with me here, is because the PlayStation is a completely different beast price-wise than a PC with even an acceptable graphics card currently, plus its supply. So it's cost and supply constrained. When I talk to Microsoft people, they're like, they assume the Xbox is their low-cost gamer, the gamer that does not have a ton of money they can get in at a low cost. They consider the PC their mid or high, and they view it as a person who wants to play on the console may want a PC, but it doesn't mean they can get a PC. So why make them wait if we can get them in on cloud?
Especially now.
So do you, taking that into account, you do still think, though, that Sony won't do Wolverine on PC and PlayStation? Let's say that graphics cards are still the expense that they are and PlayStation is still somewhat constrained. Do you still think they'll hold it to console for a while?
I think they'll hold it.
Okay.
I think they'll do the same thing that's happening with like Deathloop and stuff. But that's just a year.
Or Death Stranding.
Death Stranding is a very good example. They'll hold it for a year. I don't think it's going to be this 2-3 year whatever. I think it'll be, but they won't say anything about it
Right.
because
right.
they want you to buy it on PS.
They want you to buy it twice, technically, right? Yeah, I got you.
But I think they'll get down to a year. So like, my guess is we'll probably, like my next guess for Spider-Man is I think they're going to do what they did with Uncharted, and I
Right.
think we'll probably get Spider-Man Remastered and Miles Morales as a package
Okay.
for PC.
What about you, Reg? Now seeing all this, do you think there's any change, or do you think Sony's still going to do the hold off for, a year? Let's say Death Stranding was a year.
Yeah, they're for sure at least a year.
You think
I
so,
would even
huh?
say longer.
Jeez, I'm the only one who thinks it's day and date. Okay. What about? Oh, well, Johnny. I haven't asked Johnny.
I'd be very surprised if
Okay.
they change their tune on that. Yeah.
Man, it makes sense in my brain. I don't know. Nobody believes me, though.
I mean, I get the logic. I just think Jim Ryan will hold it for a year. Like he'll just be like,
Because in the way you can say that's exclusive, like try to get a PlayStation, Yeah, I get you. And they got
I'm just
support.
thinking of their like fan base, their existing fan base, who already throw a fit when a game releases 5 years later on PC.
business people don't care about that. Jim Ryan,
I know,
as long
I know.
as you keep
Yeah.
buying games.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but I like it. I'm happy. This is the happiest I've been. This is why I posted a couple weeks ago on Twitter. I was like, this is the happiest I've been in gaming ever. And one of the reasons why is because I have always grown up in generations where somebody doesn't have the money to get multiple systems. I'm not a rich person. I don't have the money to go out and buy. In fact, if I did not review, is there a chance I wouldn't have a PlayStation? Yes, very high, especially with Game Pass. There's a very high chance I wouldn't have one. A Switch, for sure. Even though I've liked games on the Switch, I have a PC. I would probably just hope. Nintendo doesn't do PC ports. That's one area where I think Nintendo could finally hire a couple third-party port companies and say, let's just fucking do this. I want Raving Rabbids or whatever that came. Rabbids versus whatever. I would kill if that was on the PC. It's a phenomenal game. But I see it's the greatest time. Like, dude, I feel truly blessed in gaming because I was telling these guys last week, when I play No Man's Sky, I'm playing a game I dreamed of as a kid. That game. And I mean that. Everything that happens in No Man's Sky now, once it's patched, that is my dream. I would sit with Cadiz, who's in our Discord, and we would talk about games we wanted in the future, and No Man's Sky is the game we would talk about. Every single thing that's there is exactly what we would talk about late at night as kids. Daggerfall was that way for me when I first started PC gaming. And you have Skyrim and Oblivion and all these amazing titles, but there were always caveats to everything. And now there's caveats currently for those third-person Spider-Man. I want other people to enjoy Spider-Man who can't even get a PlayStation. Well, they could get a 4, but they don't want to because they feel like they're buying backwards. I like it. I think it's awesome, and I wish Sony did day and date because I got to tell you, I think they're throwing more money away just to be special. I truly believe if they said, boom, you got a PlayStation 5, you can get it. If you can't get a PlayStation 5, they're good with ports. God of War was a great port. God of War was one of the best ports I've seen in years. And just give people the games.
Yeah, so I can't talk about, we can't talk about Forbidden West, but I can say I played a lot of Horizon Zero Dawn on PC, and switching back to controller only from mouse and keyboard on PC,
that game in particular
has been a struggle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I get you
will
there.
say, like, and there are certain games like I will play ever since probably, I guess, maybe the last 6 years. You can plug in like an Xbox controller or a PS5 or PS4 controller and just play a PC game. And there are some games that I will play specifically, even on PC, on controller.
Me too, for sure. Yeah.
But there are also some games that, a mouse and keyboard. So being able to switch back and forth, like Dying Light, I couldn't have played Dying Light 2 on a controller. I had to play it on PC.
No shit. I had to play it on controller. Interesting.
I can see that. First person, for some reason, for me, always is a mouse and keyboard thing.
I think
third person, on the other hand, like control on PC. I reviewed it on PC, but I played it with the controller.
I see. What about Gears? How would you find Gears on the PC? Would you play Gears of War with a mouse, or would you play that with keyboard? Because Gears of War is so slow normally, I'm okay. Halo, I like the mouse. I got accustomed to it. I was like, I dig this. I tried it on the Xbox, which is cool because they have mouse and keyboard support for the Xbox, which is awesome. I did like the mouse and keyboard. But for Gears,
I don't know, because I was saying this on Twitter and it blew up, and then like people got weird about it. Noah Caldwell-Gervais did a whole video on Gears, and I was like watching, and I was like, okay, I have not played, like I played Gears 1 briefly, but I never beat it or anything. So I was like, most of the series I've missed. I was like, I will sit down and play all of them.
Right.
And then I was like, okay, I'll go in the store and buy them. And then I went and I was like, oh, wait, they're on Game Pass. Yeah. Not only are they on Game Pass, the ones that aren't on Game Pass are backwards compatible. So I was like, I could play the entire series right there.
Yeah.
And for me, that was my moment, like, okay, this is awesome. Because like when you decide you want to binge a TV show or something, you can do that now with most streaming services. But games, it's really hard to do that. Like just being able, like, I want to play every Final Fantasy for like every mainline Final Fantasy. That's hard to do actually on one platform.
Right.
Whereas Gears, I can now play the entire thing on my Series X. And that's cool. Like, that's just dope.
Yeah, it's Reg and I talk about this, though. We do this all the time. We buy the game, though we have the game. Right. So I've done that. So you were talking about Gears. I've certainly bought Gears, I bet you, multiple times where there was no reason, but I forgot to look, like on Game Pass.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that'll pop up. But the idea of being able to binge that series of titles, you know, it is awesome. Forza, I feel the same way with Forza. I'm able to go, you know, they've turned off the servers to one of the Horizon games. I can't remember which one it was. But that ability to binge those series of titles, if there's one you like in particular, yeah, it's awesome, unless you're EA and you turn off the servers early or something like that. I mean, it's great to be able to go and play those. I'd forgot, you are right, though. Some are backwards compatible and some are ports, aren't they?
Yeah, so Gears 1 is Ultimate. So they released Ultimate, which was native for Xbox One.
Yeah.
2, 3, and I think Judgment are backwards compatible, but they're also boosted. Like, not only are they back compat, but they are boosted. And FPS, I think they're on Game Pass regardless. Like, I went to buy them and it was just like, it's on Game Pass. It's good.
Dude, isn't that awesome though? There's so many.
It is. And like and people got weird because I was like, wow, for me, this was just like, I hadn't thought about it.
Of course. Yeah. And
I was like, oh, this is really cool. That is a thing that Microsoft and Game Pass could do. And you know how console war people got like,
yeah.
I was like, I mean, that wasn't the point. Like, I'm not like particularly like it was just a cool moment, just being able to go like, oh, this is the whole thing.
Do what I do and piss everybody off and say, hang on, I'll respond to your tweet. I'm playing all my cool games. I'll be right back. You just continue typing on the internet. Dude, Twitter is, you just never know, right? You never know what you're going to... Dude, I've said stuff on Twitter where I was super positive. I'm like, and people be like, what the fuck? You know, and you're just looking at it going, dude, did I write that wrong? Like, what the hell? Or this one thread always goes to the side. You know, you just sort of know how it's going to go with console warring. But it is true. You can do that. And it's the same way people, when PS3 was backwards compatible, remember the FAT? When it had the fat version.
I still got my fat.
Dude, that's awesome. Thick. You got this PlayStation that plays the backwards ones. I know. It's a Foreman grill. That's exactly what it looks like. It's a George Foreman grill. And there was this cool ability for people to go back and experience not only titles maybe they've played, but titles maybe they haven't played, where you jump into the ecosystem for the first time ever. And you're like, dude. And they're not like Nintendo a lot of times where you have to buy them again. You know, if you are smart and look, you can sort of get away with it. Because I think Nintendo always charges, even for their classic stuff, don't they? Like Reg Online, they're charging for all their classic stuff. Isn't that what you bitch about a lot? Yeah. That's just stupid, man. You know, Nintendo though.
I'm still angry about Mario 3D All Stars, which I did buy. But
you're mad because what? What happened?
Because they took it away. You can't buy it anymore.
That was a game that only released for a certain time, and then they removed it from sale again.
Yeah.
Oh.
You can't buy those games at all.
Why?
Wait, why? Why'd they remove them?
Oh, it was
They
supposed to be a
they
Mario
launched-
anniversary.
Yeah.
And then after
Oh.
that, you can't buy those games.
They launched
anymore.
them with a deadline, with a sale deadline.
Whoa. Limited edition.
Dude, Nintendo are so busy smelling their own farts, man. Those
Dude, that's
guys
so
get
nuts.
high on their own BO. They're just sitting in a room. Guys, I got an idea. Let's sell this.
Time limited.
Dude, they're so crazy. They have
Like-
their
I assumed when they said that for 3D All Stars, what they meant was the package. And
Right.
once that limited time was done, they were going to put them on the eShop separately.
Right.
No, they just
Yep.
stopped selling it.
that's just such a
What the
jackass way of doing.
Yeah. And why?
I
They're
don't
like,
because they're high.
They don't want the money.
I don't care. They'll
What?
never give me they'll copyright me even if they gave me the code to a game. Like I can't trust Nintendo for shit. I don't even try to get their games unless it's like a third party. So I'm not going to burn any bridges here. Those guys are not the people, not the PR, the main decision makers are so behind the times. It's like I was joking with these guys, Mike, saying like they're signing into GeoCities and MySpace still. Like they can't figure out where everybody went, but they know that people buy it, so they just do the same shit. They just retreat. And by the way, I love some Switch games. Prior to streaming to my tablet and to my VR, the Switch was the best version of Skyrim. It was awesome. I could
Yeah.
lay down in bed and play. And I'm telling you, I had those moments where I was like 2 hours of resting, playing Skyrim in bed. It was nirvana because it looked good. It was locked at 30. That thing was ace. I like a lot of stuff on the Switch, but those guys sold cardboard to people and you bought it. Like, I don't want to get mad, so I'm going to calm down, but they bought it. And that's what makes gaming worse. You guys, whoever bought it, you bought it. That's your fault. Whenever I hear somebody say, speak with your wallet, well, your money doesn't come with a name on it, so they don't know. But they do know when people buy shit and they overbuy it and they buy it in that nostalgia way. And Nintendo has created this revolving, it's almost like, a mill wheel in water where they know that those fans will just keep going in and keep moving that wheel and they'll just keep buying that shit. And I just wish there was a way to like tell people just for one of these big titles, don't. Just don't. Everybody should veto one huge Nintendo title that pulls some of this shit that they pull. Didn't they release a new Pokemon that looked like shit but was actually pretty fun recently? Like Arkansas or Arrakis or
almost.
Arceus.
Arceus.
I'm pretty close.
Pokemon Legends Arceus, which is another one of
Had
those
some of
games
the
that
letters.
I was pretty close. That wasn't that far away.
It started with an A.
It did. Hey,
So,
man.
yeah.
So would you guys say that's a good Pokemon game then? Because I've heard it's good. It just looks terrible.
The Pokemon fans that I know love it.
Okay.
That's very diplomatic.
The two parts to that are the Switch is very old hardware,
Yeah.
and two, a lot of what I've heard is this is the Pokemon game I've wanted for a very long time, but
Okay.
Game Freak has just been averse to changing anything whatsoever or evolving. And even this game technically is Pokemon Legends. It's not like an actual,
Oh.
like they put it in a spin-off thing.
Hmm.
I assume because they were afraid, like, what if it's not, like, what if people hate this? What if we've ruined the beauty of
God. What if
Pokemon
that's
Sword and Shield or like this classic? Like, no,
that's
just
a
try
good
something.
point. Maybe what I'm seeing as them just reselling nostalgia, maybe it's absolute utter butt clenching fear of having a bad sell. Like I've never thought of it that way. Nintendo has had success after success after success. It's ridiculous if you've tracked Nintendo.
Yeah.
I mean, other than the Wii Cubed or whatever that fucking one was
Wii
with
U.
the tablet. Was it the Wii U,
Wii U
with the tablet?
It was the Wii U.
Yeah, GameCube did well, not sales-wise, but it was a beloved system,
Yeah.
and the Wii U was not. So that's their only real Well, Labo was a failure, I think, in the long run, but I don't know. They didn't do anything. They just made you buy cardboard. I don't fucking.
And I mean, they'll be switching for a while because they just announced what I think it was like 107 million. So this hybrid thing, portable console, is just there's too much money in it.
Okay, here we go then.
Um,
Let's talk about the next hybrid. We got Steam Deck. People are loving it. People, Reg got a pre-order. I got a pre-order.
Mhm.
I got a pre-order.
Mike
Me
got
too.
a pre-order. Johnny, okay.
We all got
Here's
it.
the thing, though.
Yeah.
I got to ask you guys, why did we pre-order this? Seriously, no joke. It's going to be outdated so quick. You can stream most anything to a normal tablet anyway. Did we buy it just because? Why did we buy it? I don't even
For me,
know.
it's definitely for one that the gadget value. It's a new gadget.
Yeah,
And I love that shit.
I'm that way. I'm
Okay.
a bleeding edge tech. I just like, let me just please.
And the secondary function for me is a pretty powerful portable emulation station that actually has all the stuff on it.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about playing what, PS2 emulation?
For
Is that what
example,
you're-
yeah.
For example,
Mhm.
okay, I see
Yeah.
what you. Okay, I get what you're saying. What about you, Mike? You're more gadget.
I'm more gadget, but also I like the general idea. I honestly think the Steam Deck's biggest problem outside of price is going to be Valve. Because people are like, oh, Steam Deck's going to compete. No, it's not, because you can only buy Steam Deck through Valve.
Mhm.
Oh,
Like
I see.
Valve logistically isn't going to, even when they were doing Steam machines
Yeah.
or
right.
Index, they were only selling to Best Buy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
You're not going to compete Steam Deck to Switch if you're not selling it everywhere.
Okay.
Like, you need
That's
to be
fair.
able to have it in Walmart and Target, and I don't think Valve is going to commit to that level.
Okay, Johnny, why did you
So-
order your Steam Deck?
There is the tech enthusiast aspect. Like I'm curious, right? I want to check it out. But also for me, the streaming stuff isn't working well, right? Like there are pieces that are missing for me for my setup that it is just not smooth sailing, because I tend to play in my bedroom, which is a little bit away from where I have the router and the computer. So maybe that distance is enough that the latency, just isn't good. Sometimes I get like audio lagging, other times like the input, there are things where it just doesn't work that well. Even the Bluetooth of my controller being connected to my PC, because of the distance, it just, so the streaming stuff isn't quite there for me. So the idea of having the ability to access all my Steam library on the portable without worrying, oh, my network, right, whatever, is a big deal.
Yeah, I'll have to see. I don't know why I ordered mine. I mean, I guess gadget, and because I have issues with controllers not feeling comfortable. I've
Like,
made my
which
own.
one did you
for my
buy?
tablet. I bought the 512, the most expensive
I
one.
mean,
because
Okay.
Yeah.
I just don't feel if I'm going to do one at all, I would want to skimp where they were allowing you to skimp. In fact, I was telling people you should definitely look, because the skimpy one is probably going to have some performance issues.
Yeah.
And it already that people are saying set this game on low, setting this game on medium, and I'm like, they're playing the high one.
Yeah, I did the medium one, so the full fat, but with like 256.
Yeah, as long
gigs
as
or
you're not
something.
doing the one below that, which I believe is using like flash RAM or something, isn't it, Reg? Isn't
Right.
it using like
the lowest one definitely has way slower storage on it.
Yeah, for me, that's probably why I got it, especially now when I'm getting 5 milliseconds lag when I'm streaming, because I have everything in my house is 6 or 6, not 6E, which I wish, but and I've been very happy. 6 has made a huge difference. It's people don't and I'm one of the ones who, Reg and I joke about this all the time. I can tell whenever any of my devices is on wireless. I mean, no, it's wireless. It's not wired for sure. My Xbox is defaulted to wireless. I can tell. And 5, like when you start, or 6, sorry, when you get good
6,
routers, holy shit.
It's good enough for VR. So
it's good enough
that
for
should tell
VR.
you
I was
something.
playing my Quest in the back of the house in the field with the entire backyard playing contractors
Wow.
for 11 fucking hours. And I'm sure somebody was looking going, is that guy like going to kill a kid? Is he like going to shoot up a school? Because I'm back there playing contractors all night. Into the night. It was 3 a.m. when I was done. My back hurt. And I was like, this is the greatest. And I don't even like the Quest. I don't like it. But it's the only one that allows that right now. And that's streaming. People, if you want to see the future, 6 is the future. 6E is going to blow your fucking mind. Because 6E is even greater than that. And like we are at that point where streaming is so close to native. I think I'll play on the Steam Deck some games that just don't stream, or if you do have some kind of issue or you want to take it with you. I don't do a lot of, I don't know about you guys, if I go camping, I don't want a system. If I go to vacation, I don't usually want a system. So I'm probably the opposite of other people where I won't take mine mobile, where what sounds like Mike wouldn't either, but I think some people would take them mobile, where I don't think I would. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Can you play it with somebody's driving, Reg, or do you puke? Like I would get motion sick.
It depends. Depends.
Okay. When I travel, I play the Switch like when I'm traveling, like I'm on a plane, I'm on a train or something like that, which is rare now. The Switch I usually play in bed or in the bathroom.
Oh, gotcha.
And so that's probably what the Steam Deck is. It's essentially going to be the games that I would normally play on the Switch, but the Switch is too weak to do.
Yeah.
Because I also have 2 of those little portable, like I have an Amberneck, and I did buy a pocket analog. So I like being able to just like go in bed or bathroom or something like that. Like I don't play the Switch docked, and I don't play it when I'm sitting here at the PC or on the couch or anything. I play the Switch when I'm not in the living room.
Reg, for the PS2 emulators, not PS3, I'm assuming, but is that
Probably
powerful
not.
enough to run PCX or whatever that emulator is? Is the
It
Steam
should
Deck
be powerful
up and ready?
enough, and from what I've seen, it's even powerful enough to run the Switch emulator.
Okay. I mean, I would think the Switch might even be easier just because I know PlayStation 2 was a bitch because of the SPUs and all that weird. Or no, that was 3. 2 had something else.
2 is old enough that it should be fine on that hardware. 3 probably not.
Okay. Huh. Well, interesting. I mean, you guys, like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'll play it. I got it. I have no clue. Right. I don't seek out to play that in places. Like I'm on the go. Like for the example, the bathroom for me is utilitarian. There's a hole and I'm
like
dumping
5 seconds.
stuff into it and I'm out. There's no sitting other than what is required for that exact clinch. And then I'm gone. I get motion sick, Mike, like nobody's been. I get the easiest motion sickness that I think I've ever heard of. It's ridiculous. I can look down and that's it in a car. Like I have to stare straight ahead. If I look down once, I'll be instantly motion sick. I don't get sick on trains, so I can see where a train or maybe a plane would work. But I don't fly a lot either, So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. It's interesting to see. It's expensive, but not super expensive for what you're getting. It's just expensive for its segment. So that also is going to be quite interesting to see how it sells. I think it's going to sell out because they just won't make enough.
Yeah. It's going to sell out, and it's probably going to sell well and be on if you look at the index is always on the Steam
top 10 or whatever.
Sellers.
Yeah,
but that's because I think that's by revenue, and each index costs like $800 or something. So I think it's going to sell well for Valve. I just don't think like people who are like, oh, it's going to compete with the Switch.
Probably not.
Maybe like tech wise, but logistically, to compete with the Switch, you need to be everywhere.
Yeah.
You need to be selling your system to the average person.
Yeah, and they do a good job of being as restrictive as possible for their stuff. I mean, that's it. They're a little bit like Nintendo in a way where Nintendo just doesn't try. Valve is like, we'll try a little bit, one store. Because I think they sell to, like you said, Best Buy, right?
I think they just had deals with Best Buy.
That's hilarious. And our Best Buy is a place that, no lie, no tech person here would ever go to. Ever. Because they're so expensive. So, like, it's such a weird for me, that's such a weird thing to hear because I would never walk in a Best Buy. It would.
And places like Japan where they don't really do PC or Xbox at all.
Yeah.
Adopting something like the Steam Deck seems.
Hey, let's talk about nationalism for a second. Let's turn this political. I'm just joking. I do have a question for you guys. Let's deep dive into something that's been bothering me. Can Microsoft ever succeed in Japan?
No.
Okay, that's what I thought too. Does anybody think they can?
Not unless they have like they found like some new sub company that's founded in Japan. Then
Japan.
Maybe.
Also, I think
Otherwise-
the Switch has that on lockdown. Like even if you look at the Japanese sales numbers, the PS5 isn't even doing all that much.
Right.
Like
True.
It's all
I think
Switch land,
Japan wants Switch, and I think they want
It has to
portable.
be portable and small.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Sony and Microsoft have walked away. Well, Microsoft never did it, and Sony has walked away from it completely.
Yeah.
So
It is
Well-
it is one important part. The average flat in Japan, in the cities at least, it's a shoebox. So everything that takes up space, any amount of space, is
Dude,
a
the
hard sell.
Xbox, the
Is
big
the bed.
Xbox.
Is a bed? It's like
Dude,
the Olympics
most
when
of-
they made
most-
beds out of
Most of the
cardboard.
flats is exactly one room that has everything in it: a
Yeah.
kitchen, sleeping area, everything. So
If it has a kitchen.
So imagine having a fat Xbox or other console in there. It's a very hard sell.
We should get what's his name? Mac Wolf, the guy from Japan that we've had on a couple times. Where 3 a.m.
He had
for
the
him.
one
His wife
Xbox.
is asleep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
and he had the
one
one
Xbox in
Xbox. He's
Japan.
like, I have the
Yeah.
only Xbox. There is no one in my entire town who has an Xbox but me. I just don't think they can either. And I think that, obviously Sony is starting to come wise to what works and what doesn't in Japan as well. And let's be honest, that's sort of an old question because years ago that mattered. It's not
now
mattering
it does
near
not.
as much.
Like Japan is not big enough of a market.
It's not a big enough market. And when gaming gets bigger, all those other places have growth where Japan doesn't. And that's one of the their market isn't in the same growth. Go ahead.
Here's my question, right? Because with some of the streaming stuff, and let's say they have really good internet in Japan,
They don't.
you could say they don't.
I don't know.
No, Japan's
Oh.
internet's pretty. I think
Oh, is
I
it
know.
shit?
I know China, Hong Kong. They've had the fastest internet for years. I think they've lost in the last couple years, but
Okay.
I don't think I've ever heard of Japan having super fast. I could be wrong.
Okay. Let's assume for a second it's good enough for them to do, for
Stream.
example, streaming with Xbox. What's it called? The service?
xCloud.
Cloud.
Yeah.
Cloud. Yeah. That means they don't need a device altogether, right? That would be even better than a portable if you can just like play on your phone or tablet through that. So
No, because
is there another?
They're on trains though, Johnny. Isn't that where
Oh,
most
like
of
that?
their? Isn't
They
that
are.
where most of
Yep.
Switch would be played? Would
For
be on a train?
commutes?
Yeah, so there would
That's
be
a good
streaming
point.
allowed.
and that's the other thing. Like like it's not just the Switch is the console
Right.
of
Right.
Japan of choice, but the mobile market is huge.
Yes.
In a lot of
Oh,
Asia,
okay.
mobile is huge. So like something like Genshin Impact, which is a full ass game that they can play natively on their phone, that
Right.
Okay.
or the mini gotcha games, Fate Grand Order.
So am I
Endless
wrong?
list.
Are you saying
It's an
that when they
endless
get
list.
on a train, they could stream on a train?
They probably
Cloud?
could, but I don't think they need to because they're playing a game on the phone. You could
Natively
stream it,
is what
but
you're saying.
why?
Oh,
Just
okay.
play the
Okay.
a native game. Like just play a Genshin.
Mm.
So I guess that
Or
might be
a
the
Fate
answer,
Grand.
Johnny, is that there is nowhere to
Right.
fit in. Mobile's got one spot, Switch has got the other. There isn't really a
Is
gap.
there also an element like culturally
Yes.
they don't want like a foreign company like Microsoft, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
Probably.
Right?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
probably that factors into
For
it,
sure.
and also getting, developers who are Japanese over to that platform. I just don't think it's gonna like what Microsoft does is antithetical necessarily to what that market wants.
Yeah.
Although they did just buy Activision Blizzard, assuming that goes through, and Activision Blizzard, like half of that is King. A lot of people don't think about
That is true.
it's
Yeah.
just mobile.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. Which maybe Microsoft is looking at that and saying, let's go with some mobile versions of Gears or something, which is, by the way, these companies aren't going to stop at just consoles, obviously. Microsoft made the Switch already. and Sony's doing it now. If Microsoft, like you said, I'd forgotten about that, but Activision does also have a bunch of mobile versions of their games. There's all kinds of stuff. And,
also Take-Two bought Zynga.
Take-Two,
January.
Yeah.
Huge billions of 5 point, or was it 12? 5 or 12 billion?
12.
Yeah.
12.
12 billion. Like that's some moolah,
Almost
guys.
13.
And Blizzard just said like, hey, we're going to be doing Warcraft on mobile.
So we brought it. So let's just jump into that. What? No. How? Are they going to have 1,000 boxes on the screen to do your moves?
my God.
No, I can't imagine it's the actual MMO.
It'll be
It's
like a
gonna be
light.
like some segments from it. Maybe
Oh.
No, it's not going to be World of
or-
Warcraft. It's going to be Warcraft, and it'll probably be some cut down.
Okay. Because
Right.
my
Like
phone
tactics
this morning, when I saw that
No.
news, here's my phone, and I was honestly sitting here alone. My phone doesn't even have I hate
You'd
phones,
have
so
to
it's not even
connect 10
charged.
phones to even
Yeah,
get the UI.
and
on
I was
there.
going
That's-
like, what the fuck? Because there's like 30 buttons on just one side, and there's 4
Yeah.
sides, and I have 30 on all 4.
Imagine
How would you play
sausage
that?
fingering.
Oh, dude.
3 spells.
And in the quick time, 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 1, 2, what? 2, 10. Shit. Sorry, guys. Raid's over.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
I see.
They said Warcraft, so it's going to be
Okay.
like
Right.
moving League of Legends over to Wild Rift.
Yeah, and remember they did a good
I
job
see.
with the what's the mobile version of League of Legends, Mike?
Wild Rift.
Or Reg?
Wild Rift. Yeah.
Wild
Yeah.
Rift,
Oh, Wild
it
Rift,
is.
thank you. Yeah,
It
yeah.
is,
Which is like a light League of
Okay.
Legends light.
Top G82, $5 super chat. You guys rock. Peace sign. Thank you very much. Why are you throwing a peace sign, though? It's all about war here. Always antagonistic in this podcast. I'm just joking.
Console War every day.
Here's the cool thing, though. I just don't care. I keep coming back to this. And you just mentioned console wars, but the greatest thing, guys, is that there's just so many fucking games. It's hard to cover because there are so many games right now that I looked at the big games and I was like, oh, there's going to be a gap. So I went to Game Informer. Shout out to Game
Right.
Informer. They do
There's
a
never
great
gap.
they do a great monthly list. You can type in like Game Informer 2022. I use their list, I'll fully admit it. And there's like 55 games in that short window I had. And I'm like, oh shit. I got to type these down. It's so awesome that people can play these. And I love the idea of companies taking mobile stuff and, like, let's say, remember Fallout Shelter? I had assumed Fallout Shelter was going to, in some way affect 4. It never happened. But I would love those kind of games where maybe you could do sim stuff at your house, and then you go back and maybe something's adjusted. Dude, I'm excited, man. There's so many fucking VR. Like I said, I don't like the Quest, but the Quest sold like hotcakes, so I'm super happy for that because everybody I know now owns a Quest. Like, that means VR is finally catching on. It's so cool.
Oh, dude.
It's
I mean,
so cool.
I also caved finally and also got one.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
And you can hook it
And
to PC, and it's just
I'm
I know it's
never going back to cabled VR. Never.
See, that one doesn't bother me, but I get your drift.
Never ever. Because that to me is the difference between and then I have to move it and I have to untangle the cable and I have to set up something versus just picking it up and just using it because it's literally just putting it on. And
This
it
right
works.
here is a battery I bought for the Quest. 5,000. The battery in the Quest is 10 and 10 if you have the Elite. So whenever I'm playing, I can play forever. That's the cool thing. So wireless doesn't bother me as much, but having to worry about a charge would have bothered me. And the ability to not worry about the charge, even against the signal, let's say the signal wasn't as good, I would still be bothered by batteries. I hate them. My phones barely last. One tablet is great, but all the rest. Being able to buy this for $19, and you can also use it on phones because the way it clicks in, but I got to say, the best part about the Quest is customization. That's what's blown me away.
Oh, yeah.
I got the Elite headset thing, which actually works, plus has a battery.
The straps
I got
for
those to
yeah.
hold so you don't smash the TV. They have active voice passwords. So when you sign into a website, you can just push a button and say whatever you want to say. And I don't know if you want to with Facebook listening, but you get my drift.
Yeah. All right.
You can voice type. You can see the new update allows for you to see your keyboard. You can draw in your keyboard,
that's so good.
your bed, your
Like
desk.
if you just peek out of the area,
Yep.
and the cameras fades in without any issues.
Yeah,
Guys,
the biggest problem with the Quest is Facebook. That's
That
just
is
the way it
true.
Yeah,
is.
it's true.
Absolutely.
And I was
Yeah.
one of the ones, by the way. We had, I don't know if you heard this, Mike, but we had, I tweeted about it because I was so furious. A bunch of people bought Quests, and we were going to jump into Rec Room and do this big Christmas, like, stream with ACG where I was going to be in VR. Set it up. Nobody besides me, and it took me 12 hours, nobody could get their Quests to work. Nobody.
Ooh.
They all returned them because Facebook's team took the week off. And the tech week. So no one could sign in because they had the dual, some people have a business account and
Right.
some of these people were people, and it connected the wrong accounts. It was not giving the second option of your personal. It was always
And once
connecting.
you get locked out,
Once you get locked out, you're locked out. Yeah. And so no one could do it. And it was a disaster. And it shows that Facebook, that needs to happen yesterday. I know that they're talking about it, and Cog, who works for him now, from the Iron Lords podcast, is like, dude, we're telling them all the time. They know they're working on it, but it's like, I don't need to hear they're working on it. You need to do it now so that people can get on easily and play the fucking thing, because I want VR to explode. Saints and Sinners, one of the best VR games ever made, a full Walking Dead game. You have Skyrim, you can stream anything to it using virtual desktop or their own.
Even Hitman
time.
3 is broken as hell, but it probably took them so little effort to make it work.
Is it
Like, just
broken because
to-
it's hard to do?
It's broken because it's not like a full game. They laid VR on top of Hitman. So instead of like doing where like in your head, you're like, okay, well, if I'm going to take a weapon out, I'm going to reach here, or I'm going to open the briefcase.
Oh, no shit.
It's still Hitman. So you're still having, like, when you pick up a body, you're still having to like hold it because it's expecting you to hold a button. You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
because
that's bad.
because they didn't make a whole new game. They added a VR camera and some VR and some touch interactions to the existing Hitman. And to make that really work, you would need to top to bottom make a whole new game.
Dude, that's sad, because I'm going to tell you, if a game could have sold, those games are amazing. The Hitman games are legit classics. 1, 2, and 3. If you could have sold VR by having a good one.
So like it's fiddly because you're like, okay, now I'll look down and this opens the inventory and I pull the weapon out of the inventory and I got to make sure I hold on so that I don't drop it. And it's, as opposed to mentally what you're thinking is like, okay, I need to grab a gun. Gun's going to be here.
Dude.
And something like Half-Life Alyx, they already know that because it's built for VR.
I was telling these guys I was playing Contractors, and the reason why I hurt my back is because, they say lift with your legs. And I'm like, fuck you, man. I'm going to lift with my back. So I did for 11 hours. But I was killing guys by holding the gun around a corner and firing. It was the coolest moment. It was the coolest moment because I was like, bitch, I'm not going to put my head out there. And I was just like, and it felt so good. Like people don't realize we're about one gen away from amazing VR, I would say, because Quest's resolution and FOV are pretty tight. But VR is where some games excel to the point of being unrecognizable from a pancake version. And we're seeing that because we have a 2D version being unrecognizable from the VR version, as in pancake version is great, VR version sucks. And yet this is a classic game. And when we finally get it to where there's a classic game on both, Alyx was good, but it didn't do. I don't think Alyx, I don't want to say it's not a success. Bear with me. I personally, though, believe no one is probably super happy with Alyx because I think they thought it was going to sell a ton of headsets when they didn't realize the headset needs to sell a ton of headsets. So the Quest is selling a ton of headsets because, other than Facebook, it has almost every human convenience we've bitched about. Typing.
And at a price that's not like...
That's why I bought it, Reg. I saw the price and I was like, okay, I can return this. I'm just going to buy it. I'm going to make... that's how I bought... You guys know me. I buy most things that way, where I'm like, I'm going to buy it from Amazon because I can return it if I don't like it.
And even like something like Resident Evil 4 is like a vastly but again, you have to build for that. Like you
Yeah.
have to build the game from the ground up in VR.
Mike, have you heard? I don't want to. Do you know that there's a playable somewhere in the world? There's a playable VR version for PC of Resident Evil 7.
I've not, but I would not be surprised.
Sony's paying a lot of money for that to be exclusive.
I will say, I played through all of 7 in VR.
Me
Like
too.
when I was reviewing it, because I loaded it up and I was like, I'll try it out just to say for the review that I did it. And once I started, like I was
Yep.
in. Like,
Dude, that was one of those games built. I mean, you could tell they had done some good work to get that game running in VR. And Sony's footing some serious dollar bills for that to be exclusive, because there is for sure a playable version for PC. And it's just like, I don't know why, I don't know if maybe they want to redo it for PlayStation PSVR 2. Maybe that's their plan. Maybe they're going to do a remake. Because I hope those VR games aren't backwards compat, because I don't want to play those old shitty, PlayStation VR games. They
no.
look pretty rough now, compared to
Yeah,
everything
they
else.
do. That damn thing.
Yeah.
Talking about cables. I hate that thing so much.
The PlayStation VR, oh my God, dude. They didn't even sell the right box for a while. You had to get the other box to do HDR pass-through. Remember that?
That's why I stopped using my. So I used to have it hooked up,
Mhm.
and then when I started doing HDR stuff, I was like,
Yeah. Not going to
and
pass
I never,
that up, right?
yeah, and I wasn't going to buy the new box, so I was just like,
Johnny, what questions do we have? And while you're looking, also, Mike, did you notice Dying Light 2 doesn't have HDR? That was a surprising omission.
what? Does it not?
No, I couldn't find the option anywhere, and I heard other people talking about it. It looks good. Some people were talking about Black Crush. I wasn't having that, but I really have dialed in this new monitor. But yeah, it doesn't. There was no HDR switch on the version I was playing. So, and maybe it's in the new patch, but I saw a lot of people saying that there was no HDR. So
Yeah, like I
didn't
don't
see
I don't
any option,
HDR
yeah.
on PC just because when I record it,
it fucks up the colors.
the footage it
It
just
looks like dump. Yeah, it looks bad.
and I'm not good enough to, like, I don't have LUTs and stuff to
Right.
to handle all that other stuff. I'll play the consoles like on PC. I got the LG, and that's when I do HDR. I'll like HDR the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
But when I'm recording something like for review, I turn HDR off. So like Horizon, I've turned HDR off
Oh, ouch.
because I'm recording it.
right.
But
Right.
if I'm not recording, then I turn it back on. And if you got a good monitor or TV, HDR is fantastic.
Yeah.
Just for anyone out there.
For anyone out there and with any game, what do you got, Johnny, for questions? Do we have any?
Yeah, this question from Bonky Kong. Recently, I tried to play Deep Rock Galactic with my roommate, and the tutorial on PS5 was so broken that we couldn't even play the game and gave up. Ever quit a game just because of the tutorial?
Absolutely. Kingdoms of Amalur, the first time it came out. I see Mike laughing.
Oh, man.
And I believe the remake even has this, but the original had a horrendous tutorial. So bad that I could not stand it. And that's rare for me. I can work through a lot of stuff. But there's a couple games, but that one is particularly egregious, where they'll pop up or they refuse to let you pass. Like Reg said in Dying Light, he killed the zombie in the dodge section. That's fine. But some games will be like, you can't. And I'm going to tell you right now, I just saw it pop up.
That's
Somebody
so
just typed
frustrating.
this in.
Yeah.
Forza Horizon 4.
Oh.
I know multiple people who are like, fuck you, I want to
Yeah.
play now. And it was like, you need 3 hours of the prologue. And people are like,
the
I'm
10-hour
out.
prologue tutorial.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Do you guys have any?
Oh, dude, Mech Warrior 5.
Oh, man.
Okay, it's technically not a tutorial,
I
but
know.
you needed to do like 3 long missions to be able to do co-op.
Yeah.
And they're kind of tutorials like teaching you the game.
Yeah.
And the third one was 30 minutes long. No, not shitting you. And if you died towards the end, You had to do the fucking shit again, the whole thing.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
one's
anyway.
pretty bad. You guys were mad because I remember I was like co-op and you and Reg were gonna play that, and you're like, this
Oh,
thing
yeah.
won't stop. I just
my.
want to play co-op. What about you, Reg? Was there any that you got?
No, not because of the tutorial. Like I quit games early, but it's usually not the tutorial.
It's usually just not grabbing you. What about you, Mike?
Yeah.
For me, not really, just because if I'm playing a game, it's generally for review.
So you have to.
So I have to keep playing it. Yeah, it's been a while since I've played a game for fun and then just like hit like a wall, just like, okay, I got nothing on this. I'll probably just not even start playing it.
No Man's Sky's original tutorial was like that for me, because I got the worst planet. That was back before they knew how to make sure your planet you start on wasn't shit, and I got the acid hot planet, and it was during the 24-hour live stream. What a bitch,
dude,
man. That sucked. I mean, I got off the planet, and then remember back in the day when No Man's Sky first came out, it was so convoluted, and they didn't really have tutorials. So I would say that's a game I would have put down if I wasn't doing it, because the tutorial was so bad. It wasn't good. It was that I didn't know what to do, and you had to fix your ship to get it off of the planet, and it was ridiculous, man. Is No Man's Sky worth starting now? Yes, it's No Man's Sky is unbelievable right now. So Greedfall, too slow of a start. Great game though, Steamhearted says. Hey, here's another one, guys. I will never play Red Dead 2 again in my life because of that fucking snow prologue. It will never happen. It will never, unless there's a save game I can download, I will never play Red Dead 2 ever again. Not even for a walk in the walk. Dude, I was playing that for review, and I was getting that ants in your pants kind of thing where I was like, oh my God, it's more talking, and I was just turning robotic. I was so done with that prologue. But Mike loves the game. What did you think of the prologue, Mike?
The second time around, when I was doing it on PC, I was like, oh God, I know. Not just the snow part, when you're doing the like directly after the snow part and you're on like the cart and you just have to
you just have to sit there, man. You got to sit there. It's like Skyrim's fucking cart at the starting. You're like, dude, what is happening with this game? Oh, you finally woke up, and you're like, yes, for the 40th fucking time I have. Would you let me push a button and just get killed really quick, or have them attempt to kill me?
Yes, they're definite games that like the opening, like anytime I try to go back, the opening thing is just like, oh God.
First thing, File Nexus. Somebody's saying that in chat. Like, go to File Nexus, find a game save. Hopefully you'll get a game save that, they haven't made their character. What's the next question?
Next question from Big Mac tonight. Now that Dying Light 2 has seen the light of day, no pun intended.
That pun was intended.
Yeah, that was. Do you think Dead Island 2 will ever be made?
Someone's still working on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly.
Mike.
It's the same devs, right?
Those devs did Dead Island, then moved to Dying Light. Dead Island moved to a different dev. Dying Light is now a different group.
And I don't know who's working on Dead Island 2 right now, because I know Sumo Digital was for a while.
Then they got released.
Sumo got acquired by Sony.
Yeah.
And now there's somebody else. I want to say Dead Island is probably one of the many Embracer Group games.
They are. That's a good point. Yeah. They are. Hey, Mike, did you see the Dead Island joke in Dying Light?
No.
Did you, Reg? Did you, Johnny?
No.
At the starting of the game? Oh, okay.
I missed it.
Has to do with the starting. Nah, I'm not even going to say it.
Or do you mean one of the moves?
Nope. There is a very distinct, for sure, joke about Dead Island and Dying Light 2 in the first building that you investigate with the partner who you basically land. You're in the grass. You look up.
Yeah.
Go around, look inside that building, and if you know what we tease about Dying Light, about Dead Island, there's specific sounds and music we tease. You'll know the moment you get it. You'll be like, I got it. And there's a couple little jokes in there.
Yeah, so it's at Dam Buster Studios, which was the old Homefront, the old Time Splitters studio that is just rolled into Homefront.
Oh.
The Revolution,
Which I like. Don't say a bad word about Mike, please.
Oh, I liked Homefront,
Oh, okay.
the Revolution. I mean, it's there's definite Eurojank to it,
Yeah.
but I liked it. It was a fun game.
Pete has
so
a
yeah.
super chat real quick. $5. He said, "Who should Sony buy next?"
I mean, they're running out of people right now, aren't they?
They are. Acquisitions are going to be unrealistically high too, because this is something that popped up prior to Bethesda being bought. There were some companies' valuations being very high, and then Bethesda was purchased, and then Activision was purchased. Both of those incredibly sky-high amounts of money. Now you've got Embracer, who will embrace everybody. You know, they will, pun intended.
Yeah,
they want
And
everything.
that's the one people don't think
Yeah.
about. Yeah, like Embracer has bought so many like B-level.
They would have to be
studios.
the highest number of IPs under one umbrella now, wouldn't they? I mean, because they got THQ's stuff. They got like all the company. They were buying huge libraries of IPs.
And they have Deep Silver
Yeah.
is under their embrace. There's just not a lot of studios left. Like there's Capcom, Sega, Ubisoft, EA. I don't know how many of those would be willing.
What about
And then there's,
Kojima?
like, there's like then I was about to say there's like middle grade stuff like Larian Studios, Kojima stuff, like studios like that, who are still out there. I feel like Kojima, if he was going to sell, would sell to
Sony.
because he definitely wants to make movies, like 100%
Oh yeah.
wants to make movies.
I see the connection there. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
Sell to them with a deal of like, I'll release, you know,
Like I'll
the
release
exclusive.
games for PlayStation, but you also need to hook me up with the Sony Pictures side and
Yep.
let me make movies.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
And do like maybe a Final Fantasy thing.
Yeah,
Like have a movie and a game.
That's absolutely a point I have never even thought of, but I could absolutely see them doing that. Who owns Metal Gear now? It is Konami, right?
Yep.
The original rumor I had heard was that Microsoft and Konami were in bed for something, but that's gone completely by the wayside. Originally, it popped up. But
Yeah, I feel like someone will eventually pay Konami for those IPs.
yeah,
I don't think they're going to buy Konami because a lot
No.
of people don't think of that. Konami does a whole bunch of other
Oh,
shit.
they're
That's not
huge.
games.
they're billions
Yeah.
and billions. We looked them up. They're in the top 10 of like the biggest company. It wouldn't make sense. They're not doing anything with the IP. Buy the IP, even if you're
Well,
over purchasing for it.
They're using the IP in their pachinko machines.
And the pachinko machine
Oh,
and stuff.
true.
But I do think eventually someone will probably we'll buy Castlevania, Contra, and all this stuff from you, and we'll give you a license to continue using it in pachinko machines and whatever.
Yeah,
You know,
that would work.
I don't know if people agree with me, but if somebody said, "Here's your Castlevania / Dark Souls game," I just think that would sell like hotcakes.
I literally just repurchased over the holiday Lords of Shadow 1 and 2 to play again because I was like,
Those are IPs that have a name to them that I think matter. Some IPs you'll hear and you'll be like, okay, like Embracer buys a lot of the B/AA IPs. Sometimes they've got a AAA that you find out from 15 years ago, but they're not always getting those huge ones. But I think you've got your Metal Gears and stuff like that. What else do we got? Anybody else not answer that yet? Has anybody not got a chance to answer that question? If not, Johnny, what's the next one that we've got?
This question from Ken Grumpet. I'm a trumpet teacher and performing musician, teaching 8 hours a day and then practicing 3 to 4 hours a day for gigs and auditions.
Congrats.
By the
man.
end of the day, yeah, good shit. By the end of the day, I'm fried, so I turn to gaming to vent frustrations and turn off my brain. Do you get to that point when working on game reviews and need to do something totally unrelated to get away from work, in quotes? What hobby or pastime do you turn to for relaxing or winding down?
Mike, what's your answer for that?
I do a lot of movies and I read a lot of comics and manga as well. Generally, no. Like I was saying earlier, if I'm not playing a game for work, I don't get a chance to play it, and so it's very rare. I think Warframe was the last game I picked up to just be like, I'm not going to write anything about this. I just want to see what this is about. So unwinding is other stuff, movies, comics. Was watching an episode of Peacemaker last night. Good shit.
Yeah, I'm.
By the way, you said manga. I just wanted to ask: have you read Chainsaw Man?
Oh yeah, I read Chainsaw Man before. I'm ready for that. That if you do not read manga and you watch anime, Chainsaw Man is going to be the next one that's going to blow your mind.
For me, I schedule breaks now. I'll use Alexa app or something to time, and I'll set an hour.
That's true. I do take a walk because I'm inside all the time, and
no
taking
vitamin
a walk
D
outside is for some reason like really free, like just to feel outside.
Yeah, and I've started because when I did have a car, I would take drives and it got totaled. So that I miss going on. I do find drives make my brain do weird, like it's easier. Something happens when I drive where I'm like, this is comfortable. I really enjoy a drive. So I would say that. But usually, I do wake up super early. I do a lot of martial arts. I do probably more than I should on that kind of stuff. But that burns off any extra energy. But when it comes to games, people ask that a lot. I play less games than I did when I didn't review, because I would have to schedule real life around those games. So I would make sure either everybody was there so we could play, or I was by myself so I could play. With a game review, I know an embargo, unless they fuck it up, but an embargo, and so you can sort of decide when to play, and there's times where I'm like, I'll check it out tomorrow instead of today, that kind of stuff. So I would say I don't think the only times I ever get really like frustrated or want to step away from a game is when the game's just buggy.
I love it, but I will say, don't make your beloved hobby into your job.
I'm still okay with that, but I agree. Or maybe just go ahead.
It changes how you interact with it.
It does, and I was going to ask you. You stated when you were going to play this last game, you wanted to play it. You knew you weren't going to make anything, but I bet you had to actively say in your brain, "I'm not going to make anything," which that is a bad thing right there. Where you, even if you're not doing it, you're conscious of stating in your brain, "I'm not making content." And I've done stuff, and I've just said, "Oh, I'll just record, just for the." And we were streaming a game, actually. We were doing Bound for Blood. And I'm like, can someone else please stream? Because if I try to stream, I'll hit record. And then if something funny happens, I'll be like, could I turn that into a video? It's like,
Gonna be content. Yeah.
You gotta kill it. Yeah. So I agree with Mike in that. Luckily, I've been sort of far away from it. What else do we got for questions?
Yeah. Next question from Dad Beats. What's the team's view on early access developers who pay too much attention to user feedback and lose the essence of what they're trying to create in order to satisfy an average of all feedback, which generally results in a watered down experience?
Generally, most of those games don't succeed. So it is what it is. Like Larian is pretty good about being like, oh, this is feedback that's useful.
Right.
And this is not, and not everyone is. And generally, if you're not good at that, your game isn't going to launch anyways. Or if it is, no one cares.
Have you guys noticed in the last couple visitors we've had, I think it was Magnuson who also stated that sometimes when they get feedback, they will use, and we use this at my old job, they use a person in a filter in between who basically makes sure that the developer isn't seeing the negative as a smash. They're sort of getting it. They're getting the data, but they're not seeing the direct, you guys suck. You guys are awesome. Instead, it's more data beats that they can look at and go, okay, 50% of people weren't happy with the collision detection on the sword. By the way, Dying Light has that. Jesus. Dying Light 2's got some weird collision detection. But I think I would rather have them not listen. And the reason why is if I'm writing a book, I'm not going to tell you guys because, I mean, you would have an editor, but their job is to know that you want to create what you want to create. You don't always want feedback. And Cliff Basinski, who doesn't make games anymore, I talk about this, GDC did, but you guys need to check it out. It's Fighting the 800-Pound Gorilla, where he talks about feedback and how it went wrong for them. And he was very open for a developer, talking about how you can hear it and go, oh, it must be real. But that's a little bit like looking at Twitter and going, that must be real. It's fucking obviously not, you know.
And part of the reason like what people like us exist, review games, or critique games or whatever, is people are generally very bad at knowing the exact thing that is the problem with whatever
that they're creating.
Right. Like they can look at the thing and be like, man, this weapon just feels bad.
Right.
But they don't know why. So sometimes they'll latch on to, they'll hear something from someone's like, it's the sound of the shotgun. That's obviously it, because I know the shotgun feels bad to me, but I can't articulate it. And someone said it and a bunch of people agreed with that. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the developer may know, we need to add some more feedback to the camera, or we need to change the amount of damage it does. And that's the kind of thing that developers have to be better at, getting the feedback and then being like, what's actually the problem?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there are a couple of good examples of roguelites that took benefit of feedback, like, hey, this isn't fun, right? And then they kind of adjust stuff around it, but always staying true to their vision. Like Dead Cells is a great example of this, where clearly it was, their vision, but they also did take in feedback.
They did, because dude, Dead Cells, I played that before anybody. I was like one of the first people who played that, and that was not very fun. It wasn't.
Yeah.
And they adjusted things and made what many consider to be a really, really good game.
Yeah, it became a good formula. So,
what else we got?
We have a second question from Bonky Kong. Do we allow it too?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Cheeky, we'll allow it. Disregarding the current hangups with the game, vaulting, sunsetting, transmog, etc., do you believe that the Destiny IP has a realistic future expanding outside of games and into a multimedia platform with the support of Sony?
Oh, you mean like a TV show?
Like a TV
Maybe
show movie.
shows, movies,
No.
something like that?
No. And I'm just going to say no. I think that shooter games make terrible stories for TV shows, and we've seen it 100 million.
Isn't that the truth?
That's my answer.
Yeah, I think the games are missing like a story structure that would lend themselves to expanding into anything past the games.
Right.
Yeah, I think it could work, but the chances of it working probably are low. Like, look at the reception to Halo, the trailer. Like, I looked at it and I was like, okay, whatever, that's fine. A lot of people were like, it looks like crap. I mean, the Cortana looks like crap, but I was like, what did you really expect from Halo? Which I love Halo, but it's not like the highest, deepest, grittiest
it's not a
war
fellow
thing. And translating that to a show that was originally made for Showtime. So the budget wasn't going to be that great. I think Destiny could work. The likelihood of it actually working is low. And then, like, who was it? It was The Rock. He was saying, like, yeah, I'm working on a new video game movie. And I'm 80% sure that's going to be Call of Duty.
See, Call of Duty, I think, with The Rock works versus Rampage, right?
Probably.
And works versus, what was the other one he did? Doom? Wasn't he in Doom? Or was that Carl Urban?
Or
were they both in there?
No, but they were both in it. He was the spoilers for old Doom. He was the one that became the bad guy.
So the thing is that it's just the wrong kind of games that they're choosing. Life is Strange could do it because you could tell side stories.
I'm still waiting for Division. The Division film, I think, would be a really
Division would be awesome, but that's because it's not Master Chief. Dude, how do you tell a story about a character who is, by all intents and purposes, impossible to kill, and you want him to be impossible to kill? Like that's Americana, man. It's like, America, fuck yeah. That's Halo to me. And it just doesn't make any sense to put that in a TV show. I liked the Halo series, the 4 shows, the mini episodes that they did, because it wasn't about Master Chief. He was saving people on the side, but it was about them going through the program and getting attacked by the flood right then and him saving them. Just the idea, you don't want to hear Master Chief talking all the time. That's like, we saw Hitman. Hitman didn't do well either. I think Hitman has a better chance than Halo. I like the Timothy Olyphant movie, strangely enough. I think it's universally considered terrible. I actually like that movie. But that one has a better chance. Halo, Master Chief's not interesting at all as a character. And
I'd agree with that.
I mean,
I'd agree with that.
he's interesting to play, right? He's like our avatar in that world. But man, can you imagine him walking around? Put me to sleep. I'll wake up when you need me. And you're just like, dude, this is not good. It's like, okay, let's switch it real quick. Gears. I was talking about this with friends. I do believe that a Gears mini-series might be enjoyable. Not a series, but like here's the locusts attacking, or here, and it's I don't know. I like that idea. I think those characters have more life to them too. Like I don't want to spoil it, but some people have die in the later games. I think that might sell. But
Yeah.
What about you, Reg? Do you want to see any of these?
I mean, not actively, but the one you talked about, I also agree that that Gears sounds the best. I would say
Maybe a short series or something.
Because it already has the right kind of mood and action going on in the games that would transfer very well into a series.
Right. Mike, I'm sorry I interrupted you. You were going to say something.
Yeah, I think anything can work. Anything can work if you get the right people behind it. Well, my high point is always the Lego movie, which I was like that should have not worked at all.
True.
But it was great. Because you got the right, and like you talk like the Hitman movie, like Hitman shouldn't be a serious action movie. Hitman should be a black comedy.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
And I think somebody could do that. It's just like Uncharted is another one. Like that's coming out soon. It looks cheap. Uncharted could work. And I honestly think Uncharted with Tom Holland starring could work. That I don't think is it.
Right.
But who knows?
It looks like a third grader field trip. And I like Tom. I think he's awesome. But they switched the roles. Get 70-year-old, Marky Mark, whatever the fuck his name is. Get him in there. Have him be, or have Nathan Fillion, who, by the way, looks better than he's ever looked in his life. Nathan Fillion is literally reversing years. I just saw him in a podcast.
He's still doing
he's doing the Rookie.
The Rookie, yep.
But he did the mini movie of Uncharted, where they did that little and I'm telling you guys, I was looking at him going like, that dude reversed age. It's insane. Either it's Tom Cruise's plastic surgeons or middle tooth power, I don't know. But somehow the guy looks amazing. Have him be it. I think that's an age issue with Uncharted more than anything. Tom Holland's just a little too young still to look.
Yeah, it will be a different Nathan, a different stage in his
life.
Like I thought it was going to be like first, like the beginning of Nathan Drake, which it seems might be, but then they're also taking bits from Uncharted.
Right. Well, maybe they get in a field trip crash, and maybe they, maybe it's like Goonies, a little bit more violent. I don't know, but he looks like he's 3 years old. That dude,
he does.
I love him, by the way. I think he's amazing, but he looks like he's 3, and it just doesn't work. I don't know. Reg is like, who gives a shit? I mean, the thing is, though, these are like, it's a question that everybody's asked since they made this fucking Mario movie. Like, everybody's tried Mario, Double Dragon. Remember those movies? You probably do, just because they were such shit. It's there. How many video game movies have been good ever?
Mortal Kombat.
Final Fantasy's cartoon was good. Wasn't Final Fantasy like Ghost Wayward Children
good.
or whatever the fuck it was called? So
Advent Children.
You're talking Advent Children.
Advent Children. That one was pretty good, right?
Because I have the Final Fantasy anime here, Final Fantasy anime, and this is terrible.
Oh, it looks terrible. It looks like a thumbnail I would make.
I literally just bought it to do a video on this thing that people have never seen. It is so bad.
Has there been a good video game movie? Mortal Kombat. Thank you. Mortal Kombat
Mortal
1.
Kombat?
The
The
first,
first one, of course. Yeah.
Because all they had to do was do a tournament movie. Look,
I know.
I didn't hate the newest Mortal Kombat, but it was seriously like X amount of movie, and then by time they got to what would be the tournament, they sped through it.
Yeah. They spat it all out, man. They spat
Honestly, I think they're trying too hard to create something more.
You're absolutely right.
But we just want the goofy tournament.
People said the Tomb Raider movie was good,
and
Johnny.
the music, right?
The new Tomb Raider.
The Tomb Raider reboot. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Okay.
It was a solid film.
And of course, the Witcher series, right? So we have.
Yeah, there you go.
We have some.
Yeah, Witcher series. That's the thing, though. You know why? Because every time you hear Cavill talk, and sorry if I'm holding you late, Mike, but every time you hear Cavill talk, he tells them what's right and wrong because he's a fan of Witcher. What you do need is you need somebody with superstar power to be like, guys, get your fucking shit out of my office. Like, whatever you're talking about is stupid. Let me, who actually watches the fucking shows, make a good show. Instead, you get everybody who's like, well, the demographic 8 to 13, and you're just like, who cares what 8 to 13 like? It's The Witcher. Like, that makes no goddamn sense.
If you're counting that, then Castlevania was great. The Witcher is great.
Castlevania was good.
Arcane, I haven't seen it yet.
These guys love Arcane.
Fantastic.
Yeah, these guys
gotta see Arcane, man. Gotta see Arcane, bro.
Yeah. Somebody said Street Fighter with Raul Julia. Knock it off. Raul Julia, awesome. Street Fighter movie, terrible. But yeah,
Disaster.
I mean, they do. They need somebody in power. Like they need somebody who is strong enough to stand up to the ass-ended shit that Hollywood always tries to pull, which is like, let's make Mortal Kombat Othello. And you're like, no, that makes no sense. We're not going to do that. We need Mortal Kombat to be Mortal Kombat. That's literally, it's in the title, dumbass.
Yeah.
And just make the movie that way. I'm glad Witcher 3 is getting made, though, because it opens up avenues for, people to make. What's the Wheel of Time? That one's bad, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I heard it was fine. I haven't watched it yet. I'm not a.
That person is a lot nicer than me. Who told you that?
I dropped out of Wheel of Time. I want to say book 7 or 8, whichever the two books.
So only 50,000 pages in.
Yeah, pretty much. But 2 of the books are the same plot line, just from different. And I got to the second one of those, and I was like, no, this is literally.
I'll be right back.
I was like, no, sorry.
I can't do those setups either.
So Wheel of Time in Lord of the Rings, they're spending a shit ton of money on that.
Yeah, man. I don't know if I want to see a show. Like, how are they gonna? No.
Yeah,
it's impossible shoes to fill, right? Like, how do you follow up the act?
Who knows? Because they have to do 5 seasons of it according to their contract.
What show?
Lord of the Rings. Like, even
5
if that's
seasons?
bad, like, even if that's bad, I think the contract states, like, with the Tolkien estate, like, they have to do like 5 seasons of that show.
Wow.
Dude, 5 seasons of them just walking down a path.
Wow.
And like somebody fucking having mental issues. And they're like, share the load. I can't deal with that. I'm sorry.
Certain games can do stuff, do movies or shows that make sense. Like you said, like Call of Duty, just write a military action movie. Star in The Rock, and
because it's Call of Duty, Mike, you don't even have to have a plot that's Call of Duty, because Call of Duty is any plot. So they could just say this is a fucking Call of Duty, but it could have just been a normal Michael Bay movie, and they could have just been like, yeah, it's Call of Duty.
And like The Division, it feels like, at least to me, seems like such an easy thing to do. Just like, okay,
very cool.
Here's a virus, and now we're on a military action movie.
I'm a huge Jericho fan, and Jericho has a very close to Division feel to it. I would kill to see that. I just think Division is one of the premier titles I think could be a TV show for sure. What else do we got? I want to let these guys go. I didn't realize it was already 1:20. Jesus.
Yeah, we can hit one last question. Gaming therapy. What's one of your favorite video game quotes or moments from the last couple games that you played? Anything? Did
anybody play PsyOps for the PlayStation 1 or 2?
No.
So it's a game
No.
where you're this bald guy who gets power, gets like magic power, and you're trained by a lot of racial stereotypes, to be honest. Like, this is back in the day. So like the black guy's got a huge fro and he talks a certain way. It's very, but
Yeah.
one of the things is they're beating up a guy and he's like, he says something like, you're the FBI, aren't you supposed to be nice? And he's like, we're the FBI, we don't do nice. And it was the way he said it and how it was delivered by this guy who was so stereotypical. Psyops, thank you, Jeremiah. The way he was, that was delivered always stuck in my head, like as something. And Max Payne, every Max Payne game had one-liners or Alan Wake. Like Alan Wake's weird Stephen King stuff stuck in my head. Those are probably the only two. Any from you, Reg? How about,
No,
Reg, you
no.
playing that game on the Switch with the voices you hated? Edge, something Edge. Remember that RPG
God,
where they
no,
kept
Xenoblade
repeating?
Chronicles
Xenoblade
2,
Chronicles 2, yeah,
I
with
mean,
the
there's
repeated...
no way to forget that.
The same repeated word.
Think you can take me?
Yeah.
Behave. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that old Star Ocean action.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for
Um,
sure.
For me, I'm gonna say that stuck with me in also a bad way was Cruisin' Blast. For Nintendo Switch has some of the worst, most annoying menu music. Like the menu music is just like cruising, cruising, yeah.
It's going to be
And
stuck forever.
And you need to go find a YouTuber because it's horrible. And it plays over the menu all the time. And it seriously destroys my soul. And it's one of those things that people like ironically love or hate.
Right.
Like they'll ironically being like, this is a great song. No, it is not. It's
Lord
horrible.
Finchy said their Masterworks All from Dragon's Dogma. And that one, I would agree. Dragon's Dogma, that guy, their Masterworks All, you can't go wrong. And he just said it every fucking time you talk to him. That one definitely stuck. What about you, Reg? You got any? Oh, I already asked you. What about you, Johnny?
Yeah.
You got any?
Nothing.
A little poison on my blade, and let's go.
Greedfall?
Oh, that's
From Greedfall. Yeah.
No, right.
Every fucking time, every battle ever.
Yeah, you would think the developer, the audio guy, would be like, dude,
Throw in another
Yeah.
variant.
we've
I-
got
I-
like 3 things. Go ahead,
I
Reg.
think it's interesting. I mean, of course, it's easier to remember that the question was one of your most favorite video game quotes.
Oh, and we don't have one?
And we targeted in on the negative stuff.
That's because
It's much easier to
it's
remember.
much easier
yeah.
to remember.
True.
It is.
True.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know, other than that one where he's like, we don't do nice, which I remember for whatever reason. For the most part, it's always the bad ones. Yeah. I mean, like Space Harrier, when he would die, he'd be like, oh, get ready. And it was an old 16-bit, so it wasn't real. It was just sounds. So it'd be like, hey, hey, hey. But because of the subtitle, you heard, get ready. And I remember later hearing it. You play it multiple times, and after a while, you're like, oh my God, it's not even a dude talking. It's just instruments, MIDI instruments. Yeah, good ones are few and far between. Trinity of the Phoenix, last super chat, $10. Uncharted movie looks too big to be an origin movie. Uncharted 1 has a self-contained setting, while in the trailers, they're already globe-trotting when Tom looks too young to even be driving. Agreed.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch it. Faux show. Mike, you're a big movie fan, aren't you? Don't you go to the
Yeah.
theaters?
I do.
Yeah, so is that something you will go to the theater to watch?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'll watch it when it comes out, but like if I do go to the theater, probably my next theater film is gonna be The Batman. Yeah, there's just a certain like Uncharted. It feels and looks kind of cheap,
Yeah, right.
and it might be fun, but I'm not going to pay like $14. To go see that in the theater. Maybe
And the fact that
I'd
Mark
go Batman.
Wahlberg is in it too, looking all confused and jacked and stuff.
That's Mark Wahlberg. I don't even think he knew he was in a movie. I think they just filmed him working out, and they're like, we'll use blue screen, and we'll just put him in front of a cliff. Dude, I love the guy. That is a guy who literally has done horrible things in his life, good things in his life. He's had an interesting life, and he has cornered the market on like cougars and 50-year-old people looking at him thinking they can look that good because he looks amazing. He's, you know, always in the best shape. He can do any movie and make it fun. He's a terrible actor. I mean, that Marky Mark is a terrible. That guy has never acted a day in his life.
And yet he has somehow gotten into like good. The other person like that is Jared Leto. Like,
oh, I knew someone was going to have to bring him up.
You're gonna hate on Leto, man? Man, he's okay.
No. Watch House of Gucci and talk to me.
I haven't
again.
seen that.
Oh my God! How do you put Jeremy Irons, Al Pacino, even Lady Gaga, Adam Driver, doing all-time great?
Wow.
Work, and then Jared Leto doing whatever he's
Didn't you
doing.
like him in Blade Runner, for example?
He wasn't bad at Blade Runner.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm incredibly excited, Mike, for Morbius.
Morbius.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I think that's one that could work. Somebody
brought up something they thought Mike was going to say, and I actually thought too. I thought he was going to bring up The Departed, because Marky Mark is in The Departed, and that movie as a whole, he is. I'm totally reversing what I said, because he was very good in The Departed, but he was probably himself, because all he did was yell at the other guy. He just called him names and belittled the other character, and then shot somebody at the end. So again, I don't know if he knew he was acting. It's almost like somebody said, hey, you want to go play paintball? They filmed him and they put him in a movie. You never quite know if that guy knows what he's doing, but that was a good flick. Reading his last one, Dallas Buyers Club or whatever that one was. Yeah, he was good in that. He was okay. He's just a caricature playing caricatures, making them even bigger.
That's his problem. And half the problem with Leto is that he's overacting.
Yeah.
If he dialed it back,
he'd be good. Agree. Like if he dialed it back, it would be acceptable.
Right. Like every time he goes out, he's trying for that Oscar. And so he dials it up to 12 and it's just like, stop.
They're like, we're going to make a movie called Flubber from the old black and white one. And he's like, I'll do it. And he overacts in Flubber. And you're like, seriously, bro, you don't need to do that. But he is a good singer, by the way. He's got his
13 Seconds to Mars.
30 Seconds to Mars.
Ace. Incredible music, very good singer. He just can't act worth a shit. So anyway, that'll be it for us, guys. We went a little long. I want to let these guys get done so they can do some Dying Light, I'm sure. It's already 7 or 8 for Reg and...
It's 9:30 here.
9:30?
10:30 p.m. for me.
It's 10:30. All right, yeah, so we're going to let them go. Thank you once again to Mike. Always welcome to come on the show. It's a blast having you here, getting to talk some inside baseball with you.
Always fun to be here.
Always cool. Everybody else, if you get a chance, check him out at Automatic Zen on Twitch or on Twitter, and he will be doing YouTube. He promises me. Every time he comes on the channel, he's like, I'm gearing up.
It's gonna happen.
I'm gearing up for YouTube, man. I'm like, sure you are, dude. Sure you are. Sure you are. You're that person who every New Year's Eve, you're like, I got to do YouTube this year.
Look, when it happens, I'll come to you first.
Exactly. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thanks to these guys for showing up. Peace out. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Bye-bye.